All right,
All set.
we all set? Okay, let's call the meeting to order. Let me know when we're
Ready to go?
okay. Okay, the first item on the agenda is the minutes from the previous meeting. Is there any amendments that need to occur to those minutes?
No, they look good.
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second. Okay. Roger moved, David seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hey, oops. Gotta keep my plan here. Okay. Today is the first meeting that Brett has been able to attend, and I don't know if you all have met him yet, but he's from I think the Pittsburgh area, if I remember correctly, and moved to Williamstown, Vermont. Bought some land there, and your partner's in the medical field. Yeah, and Brett was searching around for a job and landed on our radar. And we enjoyed interviewing him the other day, and I'm happy that he accepted the position.
And I just wanted to add, I'm grateful that he accepted the position, and more importantly, I'm grateful he's still here because we've had some challenges, not of our own making, in the first couple of weeks of his tenure. He wasn't. We had some IT challenges in us not, or the inability to get on to the system, which wasn't his or mine, but the powers that be. But he's shown his great patience and humor. We also had a day where we couldn't get in the building. That was fun. And the first hearing we had, the A-Link wasn't working. And Brett remained calm and cool and assisted everyone getting through it. And I've been nothing but pleased. And the new nameplates you have are courtesy of Brett's initiative. And we're grateful that they're here and they're all uniform. And so looking forward to continuing to work with them.
Thank you. I think my background as being a former teacher has me prepared to expect the unexpected. Just roll with the punches.
Sure. Gotta be.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for welcoming me.
Yeah. I said, catch me in that.
I waited for that moment.
Yes.
Perfect timing.
Okay. Now, a little bit further on the Brett thing, what do we expect of Brett and what his duties are here? Are they different than Melinda's or?
Well, right now, during the period where we didn't have a clerk, as you know, finance, FSD within the state government, we contracted with them so that they would perform kind of the chunkier section of bookkeeping accounting. And the cost of that was very reasonable. So because that's not part of our mission, and it would take a lot of time from the mission of the organization, I decided to have them continue that operation. So you will continue to send in your timesheets to Brett, and he will start that process. But the bulk of it is we kind of get the front end and the back end of it. The middle part is taken over by somebody else. Similarly with budget development, I've been working with that organization, and that's been a great resource. It still initiates from us, kind of crunching numbers is done by them. It's all, automated, but they have the systems and the ability to do it. And it's what they do every day. It's not what I do every day. So that's going to happen kind of through them. But my hope is with Brett that he will begin to take on more tasks, or more responsibilities, such as, getting involved with unfair labor practices. And I think the next investigative hearing that, I'd be scheduling, I'd ask him to attend just to see how it goes. So he's familiar with that process. But also regarding the website, and he'll be kind of doing a little bit more with that. The administration or throughout state government, we now have a new charge to make sure that our website and all of our public documents are accessible, which makes perfect sense. But that involves being mindful of how we present, and so that, we have to kind of take a fresh look at the website. And I think Brett's going to be kind of at the forefront of that. And as, kind of we go and he feels more comfortable, and again, he's just learning his role.
Yeah.
We'll kind of figure out where, what more he wants to do, or, what more is available to him. So,
Okay.
but he will be, to the extent there is an Alva conference, you'd be working with Brett on that, on accommodations and things like that. So.
Okay. Any questions or any comments? All right.
Pittsburgh Steelers fan?
Yes. Yeah, I'm in enemy territory as far as the Patriots are concerned. But we won this year for once, so
I also consider the Patriots enemy territory.
there you go.
Depends where you are.
Being one who was able to go to every day of training camp in 1959 for the New York Giants
Right.
before the Patriots were even born.
There you go.
I think there's still a bit of Woodhiskey that's solid Giants fans.
And I'm sure old Burlington, because we always got the games from there.
Well, they do say Frank Gifford's children walk the streets of Burlington.
There's a lot of truth to that, I think. Okay, our next thing on the agenda is the FY26 budget.
Yep, and just looking where we are.
Well, where we are, and first is the expenditure report, and then our 27 budget, but we're gonna stay on the expenditure report.
Yep. Which is under
And,
tab 3.
and so I presume the agency fee is the finance charge?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're actually, because we've had months of not having a clerk salary, we're doing very well in terms of available. We're not quite where we thought we'd be in terms of expenditures so far. So, we had a robust carryover, because the case management software wasn't developed during the prior year. So that was carried over into this year, which we will be expending it this year. And the gap in the payments to clerk salary, because we didn't have a clerk through August and not until September.
Was Alra counted the Alra that didn't happen? Is that which year does that go in?
That would have been in fiscal year 26, so that didn't happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
It probably would have overlapped a bit because we would have done advanced payments in fiscal year 25.
There-
And then
Right, because even though it's
final expenses.
even though it was in latter July, wasn't
So
Wasn't-
airfare would have occurred beforehand.
beforehand.
But the hotel might not have, the final might not have come in until after. Similar, the actual meals and such would have come after. So that would have been in fiscal year 26. So yes, Bob, it did both. It overlapped on both. And as you'll see for next year, we are factoring that in, that we are anticipating. Excuse me, go ahead. Alra. Excuse me.
Bless you.
I'm just gonna grab the tissues up.
Yeah, go right ahead. Gwen, are you familiar with Alra?
No.
Okay, so that stands for labor relations. Let me see. Association of Labor Relation Agencies or
Yep.
something like that. But it's a joint US-Canadian organization of labor board professionals. And they get together for probably a 5-day conference, every July, latter part of July, and it alternates 1 year in Canada, 1 year in the United States. And we tend to go to it because we get to hear what's going on in labor relations around North America, and pick up some ideas on how to administer some of the things we do. It's very interesting, and I think gives some background to the folks who attend as to what we're all about, because most of us didn't come from that world.
I think it's a great opportunity to kind of meet your contemporaries in other places. And I always find that, finding out what Canada's doing is always very helpful.
Yeah.
In terms of different systems and interacting with their.
It's just nice to have different looks at things.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Have they picked a new location yet?
Not yet. No. So just on this topic, there was a virtual conference, which wasn't the same. It was, 2.5 hours, and there were basically, a series of roundtables, which is, helpful, but it's not the experience that would have benefited the board members. But it was good in that we were maintaining connections with Alvaro organization.
So 2 years ago, it was in Vancouver. Last year it was Detroit, and this year it was supposed to be in Montreal, but that got canceled.
And we were very happy that it was going to be in Montreal because it's
Yeah.
close by, and we could have really organized and attended.
Yeah.
And I could have gotten a smooth meat sandwich. But we'll see where it goes. Obviously, it got canceled because of a lot of the turmoil on the U.S. side of around labor relations and national organizations that support labor relations.
A number of the organizers and speakers who once worked for the Federal Mediation and Conciliation Service were let go. So we had to scramble like at the last minute.
Hey, any questions on this year's budget and how it's going? Hearing crickets. Any other comments that you have, Judith?
Nope.
Okay. Let's go to the 27 budget request. And if Judith, you could
Sure.
bring us up to date on what that is.
Yep. So there are a couple of changes that I wanted to make you aware of. We are proposing to increase the clerk hours from 24 to 32 hours. Well, let me back up. We're actually proposing two budgets. One is kind of our status quo with also increasing the clerk's hours. The administration each year says this is what our recommendation is, and the recommendation is a 3% increase. As you may recall from last year, maintaining the status quo, we were already above the 3% because the salary increases that the clerk and the executive director got the prior year, July 1, already boosted us beyond the 3%. So this year, we're not submitting a 3% budget. We're explaining why, we're submitting the budget we are.
I want to go back just a second to last year.
Sure.
So our budget, what couldn't fit the 3%. And because we're a small organization, the administration went along with our base budget request, which was what, a 6% increase. So because of our size, we tend to get an okay treatment by the administration on the base budget. They realize that their economic drivers on the budget push us past the 3% limit. So I just want you to understand that just because they say 3%, they really do look at the individual characteristics of the organization and do what I consider sensible.
Yeah, because obviously health insurance is going up more than 3%. The internal operate, we need to pay for our rent. We need to pay for internet service. We need to pay for a number of things from the administration. And those costs are likely going up in excess of 3%. So with that, we are proposing two separate budgets. The one that is close to the base budget and one that anticipates hiring a new lawyer, an attorney position. So let's start with the first budget, which is close to our base budget.
That is tab 5.
Yeah, there are two documents under tab 5. The first
okay.
document under tab
Got
5.
it.
4. Thank you, tab 4. Okay, sorry.
Well, They just want to
it looks like
mislead
this.
me.
It looks.
But it says
Yeah,
clerk
okay.
at 32 hours on
Okay,
the
yeah,
top.
that's exactly it.
Okay.
It's the wrong tab.
I got 2 under 4.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
but
are
the
204.
first one says clerk on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
That's the one we're on.
Okay. So I'm the that was on me. That's not on Brett. So we want to keep Brett happy.
You guys keeping score?
Yeah.
No,
There's a marker. in
yeah,
the office.
exactly.
Do we need to get a whiteboard?
No,
I already got it.
yeah. So this budget has a couple of changes to it. One is we're looking to increase the clerk hours from 24 hours to 32 hours. So that's one more day in the office. And Brett's has indicated his willingness and wish to do that. So, but it also, you will note, there is a change in the per diem. And last year if you look down on the per diem, it's kind of midway through after workers' compensation insurance premium, which I think is a highlighted one. So last year for fiscal year 26, I think we were anticipating, because the year before we had a low number of hearings, we were anticipating kind of being hit and having like more hearings than anticipated. So we went with 30,000. We're not going to incur $30,000 worth of per diem costs in 26. So I looked at the annual reports and the number of hearings that we have had over the past, 5 years. And it has varied from like 17 to 12. The last 2 years have been lower. So we're already almost 1 quarter into fiscal year 26, and we've had 1 hearing. So I did 2 things with the per diem. Number 1, I'm proposing to increase, and this is something we can talk about, obviously, proposing to increase the stipend for the board members from 125 to 250, and I'll explain why. And for when you chair, it'll be 300. But also decreasing the number of anticipated hearing dates to 12 plus 4 board meetings and 1 election. So there'll be 12, this budget anticipates for fiscal year 27 that during that year we'll have 12 hearing days, we'll have 4 board meetings, and we'll have an election that will involve a commitment from 6 board members for 1 day. That might be, 3 come in for 2 hours, but it gives us that wiggle room. That's how I came up with the number. I think it's
3229.
nope. It is
17,350.
yeah 17,350. Thank you.
Got it.
So that's why I have come up. That's where I get that number. So I wanted to explain why it's such a difference from last year, but there is a reasoning behind it. And so just in support, and this is a board decision.
And that's at the 250, 300.
Yep. And to support, just in support of that, we tried this a couple of years ago, but I think we were ahead of the curve. And there are, as Bob said last year, the fee for the daily stipend for assistant judges right now is about $247 a day, and that goes up each year. So looking at 3% on top of that, it's going to be in excess of $250 a day. The work that the board does is comparable, if not more involved and mentally taxing and intensive as what an assistant judge does. You hear testimony, you not just decide the facts, you also apply the law to the facts. You're involved in multiple types of matters, and ULP, unfair labor practices, in grievances, in elections. To be able to participate, hear, and decide and deliberate on these cases require a lot of preparation, a lot of research, and a lot of thought. So my suggestion or recommendation is that you increase it to $250. Similarly, a new board was created a couple of years ago, the Broadband Board, which is a separate board within the auspices of the Public Utility Commission. And when they were created, their fee was the stipend was $250 a day. The statute governing the Vermont Labor Relations Board stipend was created decades ago and hasn't been modified. It's time to modify it. My recommendation is we modify it to allow for people to not be disadvantaged by participating on the board. We're having, as it's obvious, there are only 5 of you here, we're having a hard time recruiting new board members. And we want to be able to attract, a diverse array of Vermonters and perhaps working Vermonters to participate on the board. So my recommendation is that you authorize are requesting to increase the stipend to $250 a day per board member, and for chair duties to $300 a day. Other changes to this budget, it accounts for the cost of the services we're getting from FSD, Financial Services, to assist us. And that cost is the $7,318, because that includes account receivable, accounts payable, and budget development for a whole year. And that's the 7318, which is at the lower half of the budget.
I do want to make a comment on the first part, the per diems. We get a fairly low turnout of people whenever we have a vacancy coming. And I don't know if anybody ever looks at what the per diem is going to be to serve on the board. I know I didn't, but it wouldn't hurt if people are looking at that and saying, okay, is this going to be worth it to me to apply for the thing, and taking a look at what the per diem is. And, I'm surprised that many boards in the state where the per diem is $50 get dedicated members. I think you really have to have something in your mind that you want to be on that particular board, whether it's fish and game or human services or whatever. But those boards have staff that do all the findings and well, what I'm trying to say is they don't get involved in hearings. They only look at appeals of the decisions of the administration that they're a board of. And so we are much more like an assistant judge, should that assistant judge decide to do the duties in sitting on cases and contributing to the findings of fact, and thereby, based on those findings, come up with a decision. So I think having a per diem that tells people, hey, you're going to do some work for this, is important to be out there. And another factor for saying that, gee, it needs to attract people who look for those things. Anything else on the proposed, first proposed budget?
Quick question, it says transcripts here and there's no charges, but when we do that second hearing, will we have like transcripts from those to look back at and review, to
No,
recall?
no, if you, no, it's the first.
So
answer.
just the notes I took are all I'll have for
Yeah,
that.
you could also have the video of the hearing if you'd like, and we can send you that. But the transcripts, it's a process of we get money in and we get money out. We order the transcripts, we coordinate with the transcriber, but the attorney or the attorney general's office that's requesting the transcript pays us and we pay the transcriber. So it's money in, money out. So we're just holding it for a brief period of time. Not everybody orders transcripts, most do. But if you do want the video of what happened the first day, we record it and we have those. So if you wanted to look at them,
Yeah.
you could.
Well, I took quite a few notes. So
Mhm.
just going back through those, I'll see if I want it or not.
Yeah. Okay.
As we get closer to that, just to refresh.
Yeah, and in some cases, we do get the transcript if it's been a while since the hearing and it was a complicated matter. We get a copy of the transcript for the board out of those orders.
Yeah. So when a party requests the transcript, we get the transcript. So we keep the transcript, and I often have the transcript during deliberation. And so it's available to you if you'd like it. So you can, if a transcript has been ordered, you can have the transcript during the deliberation process.
The case, the party that wants the transcript pays for it.
Yes.
Right.
Or they agree to split it.
Yeah.
Yeah, depending.
If there are two parties represented by counsel, they'll usually split it. If a self-represented person is on the other side, that doesn't happen.
But the party that orders the transcript must provide a copy of it.
Yes.
To the other party, I think.
No.
Oh, they don't? Okay.
Oh, I thought they do.
So
They
there's
get
no
a-
obligation.
What happens is they ask us for a copy and we charge them just for the printing.
Printing, okay.
Yeah.
I get it. All right. All right, so any questions, any further questions on the first proposal? All right, gonna flip the page.
So, I'm sorry, going back to the first proposal, that results increasing the hours to 32, increases the budget by 9%. So
Over what number from the previous year? So that was one thing that I wasn't quite sure,
over the 361,293,
which is, wait a minute,
the approved fiscal year 26 budget.
with carry forward or without carry forward? That's what I was trying to get at.
It's without carry forward. So the three,
Okay.
yeah, it's with it. It's not on top of the carry forward. It's on top of the government, the approved budget for fiscal year 26.
Okay, so talking carry forward for a second. Are you thinking that the case management system will take up all the money from the carry forward?
I think the increasing the clerk fees will go into that as well. There will be something left. The amount, I'm not quite sure. So, but the
So in other
software
words,
will be at least 2/3 of that.
so in other words, what I'm trying to get at is, will there be a way for some of the carry forward to mitigate the 9%? So the administration then says, oh, okay, that's money that already exists. If 7,000 can come in and be applied to the next budget and mitigate some of the 9% increase, can that happen? you know, and I just think you should be prepared
Mhm.
in case they come up
Okay.
with that, okay?
Okay. Great. Um, all right, the next budget looks at everything remains the same, except we're adding a new position. We are looking to add a new attorney position with a base salary of 70,000 a year. And with, but if you add benefits, insurance, all of that, it comes up to approximately, I think it's 112,000 a year. So the reason why I'm looking to add a new position, it's similar to the pitch last year, is that to facilitate case management, facilitate efficient resolution of matters, to facilitate updating the website with the clerk, and to do both the administrative and management as well as the legal counsel obligations that I'm currently dividing. It would benefit the board, it would benefit the public if there were another attorney sharing the load. And the 70,000 is within the hiring range of the labor relations specialist within the Vermont Labor Relations Board attorney pay plan. It's, within the hiring range. So although we can call them that, I'd be looking for an attorney, and at that salary, I'd be looking, for a newer attorney at that range.
So in Vermont, when you can get a law degree without going to law school, can we get right up to speed and just get him accredited and take the board?
We have to wait about 4 years. So he can start now. And in 4 years, he can take over, he can do that. I don't know if you're aware of that, Brett, but in Vermont, you can study for the law. You don't have to go to law school. You can be interned and monitored by a practicing attorney and go through a course of, real practical experience, and take the bar. And if you pass the bar, you're a lawyer. But you can only practice in Vermont.
Yeah.
So, if you're thinking of planting seeds,
We've had several judges who took
And
that
Supreme
route,
Court justices.
and Supreme Court justices. Yeah.
Exactly.
Take it under
So,
consideration.
all right,
for
no
sure.
pressure.
So we need someone before the 4 years. We can
Yeah, but the way that things work, at state government, it's not
Yeah, it's not unreasonable. It might take us 4 years to get an attorney anyway.
exactly.
I would say with the current state of budgeting and government these days, the administration will approach the budget very conservatively.
Yep.
And the likelihood that they will go along with this suggestion is very low, very low.
So as you're adding
So-
Brett's duties in, we could consider the internship angle and
I think we need to consult with Brett.
But there are,
I would certainly, that's something that I would consider doing for sure.
Okay.
I'll give you the for sure on that.
Judith and I have talked about a couple of maybe a fallback idea of, possibly setting up a contract, which would obviate the need for some of the benefits and stuff and be a less, part-time contract. I wouldn't think we'd get a 40-hour a week person, but we might get a 25-hour a week person or something like that. So it's just a thought of, okay, we do need help. Would you be willing to go here then? If they reject the idea of full-time.
So that would mean that person wouldn't be an employee.
Would not be an employee, but also a person that does not practice and end up in a case that results in our having to be involved.
Okay. What are the rules about that? Or are there must be,
Yes, there are,
The state
there
must-
are contracting rules.
I know the state
No.
contracts all over the place to
Right.
avoid.
So typically that, you'd go out to bid, in a personnel situation, you'd probably put out a request for a proposal, or you'd put out a job, a announcement, inviting people to submit a proposal.
And you just say this is an exempt.
It's not a position at all. It's a contract.
Oh, that,
Yeah.
I get it.
And so the person would be under a contractual obligation to us.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah.
And we'd pay an hourly rate for the hours that they work.
And is that always with or in our case, would that be with an individual or
Probably an individual.
not with a firm?
Well, it won't be a Boston firm.
Got it. Got it.
You said it wouldn't be with a Boston firm?
No, you obviously going to do things for Vermonters for current.
But given this is such a small state, we'd have to be,
Well, that's why Judith was saying we're probably talking a person just starting out,
yeah.
in their professional career, or, maybe even someone at their end of their career. I don't know. It could be one way or the other.
Yeah, and so Bob was suggesting, as we go into the budgeting process, I think Bob's not likely right, probably is right regarding getting approval for 70,000. But, as I talk with our representative who's helping us develop the budget, it doesn't hurt to ask and just kind of keep plugging away that the need remains. But, if there were an option for, cutting this number, in half, or, a third of this, there are, as I'm now a past president of the Vermont Bar Association, and there are separate employee labor relations sections. So we can, I can connect with them to see who are the newer attorneys who want to do this type of work, because there is a need for this type of work, for folks to be represented. As you have seen, we're seeing, or I'm seeing a lot of self-represented individuals. And a lot of the attorneys that do this work are beginning to age out. So, to the extent there may be someone who's newer, who wants to develop this practice, and who doesn't appear before the board, or isn't, affiliated with management or labor, you're right, we'd have to thread the needle. It's a specific type of person, but, there are ways to try to find that person or entity. But
because they'd have to be worried about conflicts, right? If they're-
absolutely, yes,
So we
absolutely.
couldn't get somebody out of McNeil-Ledy.
Yeah,
for
no,
example.
not at all.
No.
No. So it's, ideally we'd have our own attorney and not have to do that. So
Any other thoughts about this? Whether it's needed or whatever?
And-
Any comments, Jeff?
and just
We have talked about it before, I think.
Yeah.
It's just in general discussion, so it's not entirely a new idea.
And just to let you know, the bottom line is that that would be a 45.8% increase, adding a new attorney position.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
45.8% increase from the fiscal year 26 approved budget.
Which is why we think it might.
Yeah.
The problem, one of the good things about being a small group is they forgive a lot of stuff because of the increases are outside any way for the agency to absorb anything on it. The bad side is anytime you want to add a significant resource, it really stands out.
Exactly.
Right.
So
High expectations.
there are two. So I think I need approval for what to submit.
Okay. So any discussion on which proposal to submit as our primary proposal?
What's the danger of submitting one and having it shot down? What happens?
You mean, well, last year I submitted all of the proposals. So
Oh, you can do that?
that's what I did last year, and we can do that again. What happened last year was the administration said, thank you very much, we're going with the base budget. And you may recall during the legislative process, there were legislators who picked up on our request and ran with it and actually expanded it somewhat. And that went to the governor's desk. So we did have some movement on getting approval for, a new lawyer position, and also a separate website, developer type position. I'm paraphrasing. And that went through the House and the Senate, and that was part of the budget bill, but it was vetoed by the governor. So, by submitting it, the information is out there. And if someone wants to
Pick it up.
champion that, it's there. So
I don't know much about the way in which this happens.
I don't need
I'm
Bob's the man.
well, no, I'm all, I said high expectations before, which I recognize as a determinant in any negotiation, a positive one. But as we discuss this, let's say the 45% on paper,
Mhm.
is there a mix in which the discussion allows for example, the fallback to contracting so many hours rather than having a position?
Mhm.
Or do you get stuck at, having the 45% rejected and, you back down?
Yeah. I don't think you can, get stuck. I have heard from, within the administration that sometimes it can, get kicked down to less than that. And I think Bob might have had experience where that has happened. The problem is we're not really in the room, where we have two presentations that we make. One is to the administration and one is to the legislature. So last year, the presentation I made to the administration was, this is pretty much base, this is what we want. And they were like, okay, we'll send it up. It's likely you get the base. That's what we got. And then when I went to the legislature, I said, this is what the administration wants. And, legislators, not within that committee, but elsewhere, were floating the idea of giving us the increase. And so I shared with the legislators on, what House Fiscal or Fiscal Committee, I forget.
The Appropriations Committee?
I'm sorry, Appropriations, yeah. This is what we asked for. This is what the administration is saying, but we also submitted this. So,
And is that where the real negotiation takes place?
But again, I'm not doing the
What I'm
negotiation.
concerned with when I see a number like this, I'm concerned with sort of getting thrown out because you don't pass the straight face test right off. I would want,
It's a delicate.
I would want us to have the discussion
Yep.
like we're having here. I would want to make sure that you're able to make our case and not get thrown out because you didn't pass the straight face test your first time at that.
Well, you got an opportunity in the budget narrative to go through, and usually one of the topics you try to cover in the budget narrative is what are the pressures on the organization and what kinds of resources might you need to obviate or to mitigate those pressures.
And
and so that's a place where you do it. You do it in your advocacy. Usually there's always on the Appropriations Committee, one of the representatives is designated to your budget You know, they have a series of budgets of similar organizations and state government. So, you know, sometimes you can make the presentation to that person and that person becomes an advocate on the committee for you.
Yeah.
Other things is there are other committees that have cognizance of your mission, okay? And that's usually general affairs in the House, and I think it might be even government operations might get involved or things like that. And from one of those sources may come the impetus, which happened last year,
Yeah,
to provide some advocacy for you. But it's a matter of who's interested, who sees the need, and in some cases, we got a lot of traction because, what's her name, from Burlington area, yeah,
oh,
who is also in the leadership in the Senate,
Yeah.
took a special interest to it. And so I think we got a lot further than I would have anticipated
Yeah.
because of that. So, you know, Judith just needs to have our permission to go with the flow and advocate for the things that we want. And if we say we want this position, you know, that gives her the flexibility to go to that limit in negotiations. Now, budgeting here is a little different than I had been involved with in state government because being with the judiciary, we were a separate branch of government. And, you know, and before I was in the judiciary finally made the decision to submit their budget directly to the legislature and not go through the governor for it. And we provided a courtesy copy to the governor, and the governor made their recommendations on it. But for the most part, that gave us free rein to talk about anything we wanted to talk about up there. Our agency is a little different in that we are a part of the executive branch. And so the governor's administration does have a little more input. We don't have that ability to go directly to the legislature. But on the flip side, the governor doesn't hire and fire Judith. Okay, so if the Secretary of Administration goes in and makes a thing the governor didn't like, he has the option of firing the Secretary of Administration for speaking out of turn. He doesn't have that option with us. So I feel a bit better about us advocating outside of what the governor's recommendation is. Okay. So anyway, that's my quick analysis.
Let's hope. So I still feel like why not? I don't see a disadvantage in this. And because Judith's discussion supports the notion of a real need.
Yeah.
And I don't hear that we'll get laughed out of the room. So
So Bob, in your motion, I think you said one or the other, but really it's not one or the other.
Really, it isn't. You're right.
Okay.
yeah,
It's really, I think the big thing is, you know, with us, do we approve Judith going for the whole 9 yards and giving her that flexibility to try to work it through and whether or not there's interest or not on her behalf. Just understand, I'm not going to hold her accountable for getting the full position because, you know, there's a lot of unknowns going on right now about budgeting in government. What funds are going to be available and if all of a sudden federal funds disappear, you know, the state is going to be looking at what its priorities are going to be. And we may not be high on that list.
We haven't even touched like a job description for a second attorney. I just want to make sure there wouldn't be, you know, you wouldn't have competition from within. The job title would set that.
Yeah, I would be executive director, general counsel, and they'd be legal, the title that is in the pay plan right now is labor relations specialist. So maybe labor relations counsel or something. It would be different. And don't worry, whomever is hired, I won't be worried about them doing more. I would invite that. And, I think it would be great to, especially if it's a newer attorney, mentoring them and sharing and learning from them, but having them kind of, learn from, the attorneys that appear before us and myself. So I think that's a great opportunity. And, the other hat that I wore is bar president, encouraging new attorneys to, and supporting them as they develop their careers. I think that's great for Vermont. I think that's great for the Vermont legal community. I think it's great for Vermonters. So.
Okay.
So I think maybe it should be, do you support advancing both budgets or proposals?
So do you need a motion for that?
Oh, well, I think that would be appropriate.
I move that we move forward with budget number 2 as our priority and budget number 1 is the secondary, and we propose both.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion?
Does, is it implied enough in the motion? Is there enough flexibility implied enough in the motion that there are places between 1 and 2 that would also, be successful for the board?
Yeah, I mean, I think with respect to number 2, that's the goal. And advancing that goal and being prepared to accept less than it. But I feel comfortable with the motion that you've submitted.
Do we have an idea how long it takes to push a new position through? Say the budget was approved. Is the machinery in place is it 6 months, 9 months?
No, I think, I did this with the clerk. So it's even though we had a position already approved, we still had to approve the salary. So it would be at least a month. Like once we get the money, it would be at least a month to get the approval. And then we'd go through the recruitment process, which could be, a 3-month
Well,
period.
it may be a month to get the position established on the state books.
Yep.
With the appropriate salary ranges and stuff like that. Then, once that approval's done, we can recruit. And then it goes through a typical recruitment cycle, could be 3 to 6 weeks on that.
It's more than 3 to 6
well, but anyway, so we'd be looking like into the fiscal year before this happens. So that's another stopgap. There's the full position, but it might be that you're looking at an October 1 onboard date. So there's really 3 months of salary not needed, salary and benefits not needed for the first year.
Delayed
Yeah.
implementation.
Okay, so I mean, there's different ways of manipulating the numbers.
And obviously I'm not looking at line items, but the line items, but the second one that asks for the attorney includes the increased hours for the clerk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything else is exactly the same.
Exactly the same.
So the only difference is in creating a new position. So it's still the increased hours. It's still the per diem at 250.
So
Okay,
Judith
yeah.
could go there and say, look, we'll start at January 1.
Mhm.
And the cost will be about half of
About half, right.
what's out there. It won't be exactly half. It'll be probably 60%
But it would
or
be
something.
but it would be on the books.
Yeah.
But the key is the position.
Yeah.
Having the position, positions are frankly the only real control that the legislature has on the growth of government.
Yeah.
It's not the budget, it's not the dollars, it's the positions. And once you have that position, you know,
Yeah.
that's worth a lot more than,
And it's, I have been trying to figure out when we lost, and maybe I just need to call Tim, when we lost the position, because there were once two lawyers working here. And if, you know, somewhere like in the aughts, you know, there were two lawyers. In the late aughts, there were two lawyers, just looking at correspondence and things. So I don't know why we lost that second position or how we lost that second position, whether it was voluntary, whether it was budget thing. I don't know. Whether we couldn't fill it for a couple of years and then we lost it. No idea. So, but there was a time when there were two attorneys working here, so it's not unprecedented. So
there was a time when Amy Davenport was the clerk of this.
Somebody's been reading the evolving labor relations law.
who then
Wow.
became a Superior Court judge.
And read for the law, read, she was a reader, and she became the administrative judge of the Superior Court in Vermont. So
Who was that?
Amy Davenport, good friend.
Find her walking early in the morning, the streets of Montpelier, Hubbard Park. Shouldn't have said that, but.
But
Cut
anyway,
that out.
just to show you where that reading for the law can end up.
Yeah, and, you know, Justice Skoglund read for the law, and
Yeah.
she had a successful career at the Attorney General's office, and then became a Superior Court judge and then a Supreme Court justice. So,
No pressure on me or anything.
yeah.
Well, if you decide to go there.
So did you vote?
No, we
Okay.
haven't voted yet. I just was, everyone was kept talking. So all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you, Judith. And let's see, wait a minute, I gotta get my plan of attack here. Okay, corrections election and scheduling for that.
Okay, so we have, some of you were here in the summer, fall of 21, when a rival organization filed a petition to become the exclusive bargaining representative of correctional officers and folks who work for probation and parole. That effort was not successful, and VSEA continued to be the exclusive bargaining representative for that unit. A new, a rival or a union has filed to become the exclusive bargaining representative of the unit currently represented by VSEA of the employees of the correctional department, including probation and parole officers. The union is NCEU. It's a national union. So with that, we're anticipating the parties have agreed to a mail-in ballot election, which is the unit currently consists of about 740 people. So the board will need to, bless you, will need to facilitate and process and assemble mail ballots for those folk. What we did last time is that myself and the former clerk got the materials ready for an assembly. We got the notice or the letter of instruction to the members, the ballot, return envelope, the materials necessary to assemble. And the board members came in over a couple of days to assemble them. Then on the end part of it, the day of the election, we had a number of board members assist in the actual counting of the ballots. And I know Roger was there. I think, David, were you there? David was there. What that involves is actually, and it's tedious. It's incredibly tedious, a bit monotonous, and a bit not mind numbing. So it's, I said it, it's important to kind of keep fresh and to have people checking. And that involves opening up the ballots, opening up the envelopes that the ballots are contained in, putting them all in ballot boxes, then opening up those envelopes and counting the ballots. But when you open up the envelopes that first come to us, we have to read off the names. And folks have an opportunity to challenge before we put them in the ballot box. So you need to read names, make sure you're reading the correct names, and I will respond to the challenges. And at the end of the process, it's counting it up, which
So the two unions will have representatives at the opening of the ballots. That's what Judith is referring to on the challenge.
yeah. So the two unions will be there, and there'll be probably one or two people. We'll also have it remote so that anyone can view it if they want to. But it takes a couple of hours just because of the number of ballots. So Brett
How
and I
many
can't,
ballots did you say there would be?
well, we're sending out approximately 740. So we'll get anything up to that.
Small town election.
I'll say, because what was UVM?
It was like in the 300s.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And that was in person. But we still at the end had to count them all.
And the union reps were there and.
Yeah.
And so we need participation of union members at the assembly and at the election. So you all provided us with your availability. I am anticipating sending out the notice of election, which kind of starts the process. I wrote it down on October, Give me a moment here. On October 27th. So that's the last Monday in October. And so once the notice goes out, the employer has 2 days to get us an Excel spreadsheet of the folks in the union and their addresses. And from that spreadsheet, we generate the labels to mail out the ballots. And that list also becomes the official ballot list of eligible voters. So if I send out,
Hold on one second there. So what if somebody says, wait a minute, I should be on that list? Or somebody says, how do people ensure that they're part of the electorate or not part of the electorate?
so I sent out the notice of election on 10/27. On 10/29, the employee, let me finish.
Yeah.
I know the employer sends out the list. 2 days later, the union says, you forgot Jane Smith, Joe Brown
So
doesn't
on
belong on it.
Halloween,
Yeah, so on 10/31, the union says, yep, you got all these are right, but there are also 5 more people. And then they kind of try to hash it out. And it may be they can't agree. And then we kind of have, we deal with that on the day of the election, but we identify it. So I might not have said that correctly, but
so one union submits 5 names. The other union says, wait a minute, only 3 of those are eligible. Who makes that decision?
we do ultimately,
And we is who?
we is the board.
So do we have to be available on the 31st or
No.
that's
yeah.
more where I'm getting at.
Okay, yeah. No. So most of the time they agree. If they don't agree, there'll be a provisional ballot and then you can deal with it on the day of the election.
Okay.
So,
And this sending out notices that begins on the 27th is all that snail mail?
the notice of election I send out electronically to the parties that consist of the employer, the 2 unions.
Right.
That's the notice of election. The employer has to post the notice, and any place where they communicate with employees, most of the time they'll send it out by email and they'll, and 2 days later, they have to submit their list. They'll probably do it because they're developing now. They'll probably do it in advance of the 2
And-
days. Regardless of when they submit it, the other side only has 2 days to respond. The other
And-
side being the two other unions.
Now, all these are in our rules, this process
The process is in statute.
is
and in
in
our-
statute,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. So, yep. And when I send out the notice, I also send out a letter to those three parties saying, this is the notice, this is what you have to do. And then, the employer has to do this, the employer needs to post it, and the employer needs to get us this Excel spreadsheet. 2 days later, or within 2 days, if the union has a challenge to it, they need to let us know. If the union has a different address for Jane Smith, they need to let us know.
Both unions.
Both unions, yeah.
So Judith, before the notice went out of the upcoming election, there was a process for, was there a card check or?
So I'm gonna not use the term card check because that has it's a term of art that might suggest an election process where there is no election. So the petitioning union, I'll give you the history because it's kind of interesting in this case.
Yes.
The
Thank you.
petitioning union submitted their petition to become the exclusive bargaining representative of this unit that's already represented by the VSEA. They had to submit cards or letters of or signatures of interest, but they submitted cards saying, we want to NCEU to be the exclusive to be the exclusive bargaining representative of me, or I want them to be my exclusive bargaining representative. And they sign it, they date it, and they submit it. I, as part of my role, which could be Brett's role, but as part of my role, I actually reviewed all of the cards. After the petition was filed, the employer gave the list of people in the unit. So that list was, two things happened, was longer than the union anticipated, NCU anticipated. So I compared the cards that were submitted against the list, and 30%, they needed to submit 30% of the names on the list to express their interest. After counting, they were short. They did not present 30%. But under our rules, they had some time to fix that, which they did. Within 10 days, they submitted more cards. And I checked those cards and they pushed them to the threshold. So after that was determined, I had a conference with the parties about, okay, we have enough cards presented. During this time, there was also 2 unfair labor practices filed by VSEA challenging the election, well, indirectly challenging the election. They asserted that the employer was interfering with their VSEA's representation of their employees of their unit because they were allowing this competing union to park in the parking lot of the correctional facilities or distribute materials via email. So because that was pending, we picked a date for the election that would have facilitated resolution of those things. After the conference, the union, VSEA, dropped those 2 unfair labor practice petitions. So that's the backstory. On this conference, we picked an end date for when the ballots need to go out. The end date is November 10th. So the ballots are going out November 10th. And I kind of threw around, okay, the notice of election will go out on October 31st, but looking at it now, that doesn't give us enough time to assemble things. So I'm having the notice of election go out on 10/27. All of this is a big windup to looking for kind of nailing down when we're going to be assembling and who can appear on the vote count date, which is anywhere up till December 10th. So from the December 5th to the 10th. So other questions before we actually look at the kind of
When-
nitty gritty?
When are you, so okay, ballots will get mailed out on the 10th. When are they required to be in by?
Because there are so many of them, I'm gonna require they get in on Friday.
The 14th?
No, hold on.
I was gonna say,
Yeah, the week before. So,
so maybe,
no, so we have to kind of fit or fix our ballot count date among us because I need whomever is going to be doing it. And someone couldn't do the 10th. For some reason, the 10th wasn't an option. I don't know who it was, but
The
anyway,
10th of what?
December.
Okay, so now we're up to December.
I'm answering Michelle's question.
Yeah.
They'd need to be in our office at least a day before the election.
because I was gonna say, why wouldn't you do November 28th and then we would count that first week of December? I thought that was the plan.
That's the day after Thanksgiving, November 28th.
But if they're coming in via mail,
State offices are closed on,
no, I know, but I'm just thinking mail is so slow.
it is incredibly slow.
So for it to go out, by the time they fill it out and then we get it back, you're looking at almost a 2 to 3 week turnaround.
Yep.
Just in the mail.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I was actually looking to give them more time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I definitely.
Yeah.
Give them because it took 9 days to get something from Burlington.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I received by email something from an attorney and then it came, there were weekends
Yeah.
involved, but that's not okay.
Yeah.
And some of these will go out of state.
Yeah, because some folks are in New Hampshire or New York.
Yep.
So, yeah, so let's,
So you're thinking December 5th?
let's pick the count date. Let's start off with the count date. What date? So,
So how many days are you anticipating for counting?
one day.
Oh, one, okay.
One day. So we're, days that we have, I think so anywhere from, I'm sorry, I don't have my calendar. So you all provided us with dates for December 5th and December 8th. But I'd like to look at the 9th and the 10th also. And I'm just going to run quickly to my office because I don't have.
I believe it's right there.
We have,
No,
and we have a
thank you.
hearing Thursday.
We do have that's why we can't do it. Thank you. Okay, so the dates we
That's the
have,
4th.
Yeah.
so we have everybody, it looks like everybody is available on the 9th. When you responded to our queries, it looked like everybody was available on the 9th, which is Tuesday.
Tuesday, the
And also everybody but Wenna is available on the 10th, which is, the Wednesday. I have a dentist appointment on the 9th, so I
What a
would,
rare treat.
yeah.
dentist.
And then come
Dentist
here.
Never for Wednesday. I can't.
Root canal or count election ballots?
It's actually periodontist. It's not even
It
dentist.
may be
Oh my
very
God, you're
comparable.
There's no anesthesia involved with counting ballots.
No, it provides.
I was gonna
Now,
say, I
let
think
me-
one
Let me
sounds
ask,
better.
so Judith,
So let's-
Judith, are there any requirements about the composition of the ballot counters?
No. It
Okay,
needs to
so-
be board representative.
But it doesn't need to have a neutral or management or
No.
labor or
No.
anything like that.
No. So the 10th, everybody but Gwen is available. So,
I could be available in the morning, but not the afternoon.
okay. And somebody is available at 1:30. That's Roger. So you're available in the morning, you're available in the afternoon, right? It may not stretch to the afternoon. It might. I'm trying to remember the corrections. The corrections, what last time around, it definitely was long. It might have kicked a little bit into the afternoon, but like 1 o'clock. I don't think it went much later than that.
Not everybody will vote.
Yeah. Yeah, we're, ideally you want everybody to vote. That doesn't always happen. So
So we get 60%.
So, okay, looking at let's pick the 10th. Okay, let's pick the 10th. When it's available in the morning. So, and Roger, we might not need you, but that's
So
okay.
you should check in before you start your commute.
Yeah. So let's pick the 10th. Okay. So now we have the 10th. The going back to Michelle's question on
Starting at 9 o'clock,
And by
might as well set the time.
yeah, what time works?
I think 9.
9,
would be good.
okay. Got it. Perfect. And we want to make sure we have this space, so we can confirm that. We can do it in there, but there's more space here.
Especially because there'll be 2 other.
Yeah.
At least 2 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there'll
Well,
be probably
yes.
at least 4, I would
Yeah.
think. I think they'd have at least 2. Actually, there might be at least 6 more people.
Yeah,
Yeah, we need this space. Okay, so we would need to get the ballots at least by the 9th. And we get
of
our
November
of
or December,
December.
just to make sure that.
And, okay, so let's look at this. So everyone's set on the ballot
Yeah.
count date?
Yeah.
Okay,
so is it ballot in hand by that date? Or is there
what else would it be?
Postmark.
postmark?
It doesn't help if we get the ballot after the election.
No, I understand that,
It's
but I
ballot
was,
in hand.
So we're not
Yeah.
required to honor it if it's not in our possession.
okay, so you can accept delivered ballots?
Absolutely.
Yeah, just mechanically speaking, what time do you get your mail here?
We get it before 10:30. Like by 10 usually.
So ballots in hand by the 9th. Or,
Yeah.
And our office closes at 4:30.
and the office closes.
We have received FedEx, we have received UPS ballots. I don't recall receiving a hand delivered ballot, but we would accept it. The post, just because of the delays with the mail system,
I
it doesn't
exactly.
help you if it's postmarked on Friday, but we get it on, on the 15th of
Yeah.
December. We're not going to count that ballot.
Right,
So I'll say required to have ballots in hand by the end of the business day, December 9th.
By 4:30.
yeah, by 4:30, yeah,
Yes.
put the
It'll be in
time
the notice. It
Yeah.
will
So they
be in the
don't drop
notice.
them off at 11:59 at night.
Yeah, it will be in the notice.
Yeah.
So all of that will be in the notice, but that's helpful to kind of hash it out. And most of them, you get like, the experience that I've seen is that, you'll get 2/3 to 80%, they begin to come at the same time, and then there's a trickling. And the longer period allows for, invariably with a unit this size, we'll send it out to the address we were provided, but the person moved the week before.
So another question, I know we're talking about everybody mailing them back, but what if all of a sudden on Monday, someone's like, oh, here's 20 of the ballots, dropping them off, because,
No,
okay, they have to be mailed back.
no, I'm sorry, they don't have to be mailed back,
It can get-
but
Just have to be here.
they have,
just have to be
when
here,
you
they
said,
can-
it shouldn't be, oh, I've got 25 ballots.
Because let's say they dropped it off at the employer's office. I'm just being.
They like
devil's-
brought it here the morning of December 10th.
No, not the 10th. I'm saying that Monday because, that's what the employee chose, was to drop it off with their employer, and then whatever representative decided to bring it in Monday to drop it off, so they were here.
We need it from the employee.
So it has to come one by one,
Yeah,
even though
it
they're
can't be in a bulk.
sealed and
Yeah.
whatnot. Okay.
Yeah.
because you don't
No,
know.
and you want to, don't
You don't want to go
anyone.
into the, the corner where people are handing out $10 bills. I'm making this up.
Correct,
It doesn't
because they're
happen.
anonymous.
But, you
You're
know,
right.
I'm watching House of Guinness, and there was, so,
I
you know,
didn't start.
that doesn't happen here, but
Spoiler.
we want them from the the votes need to be from the employees. We want to
Okay.
ensure, so, we're not expecting a basket of,
Envelopes.
of envelopes.
Yeah,
So,
because even though we will verify them against the list.
yes,
Correct, okay.
yep.
So some of it could be inter-office mail, right?
Most of it will be in our office mail.
Okay, it won't be USPS mail.
United States Post. I'm not understanding the difference between our office mail.
Well, pink envelopes.
No, I've never received any by pink envelope
Okay,
because we provide a self-addressed stamped envelope
Right.
to us.
Right, that's,
So-
yeah,
So the stamps, and we say,
Okay.
we want to, because that's a way that we verify their identity, is looking at. you know,
no,
once
I
they
agree with
look at
that. I'm
the-
just,
The address it came from, and also they're supposed to sign the interior envelope with their signature.
right. Those are the parts that make it, one, expensive and two, complicated, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
Because we do the self-addressed return.
Yep.
So there's a buck out there for everybody.
More than a buck, we
Yeah.
found out.
Oh.
Stamps are like 78
Damn.
cents now.
Yeah, it's
Crazy.
It's,
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is like, Brett's been stocking up our stores, making sure we have enough stamps and everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is
got
like,
thousands, don't worry.
yeah, when this happens, it's we need to gear up for it, make sure we have the right envelopes and the stamps and
Okay.
Get those
Paper.
forever stamps for the next time, right?
That's the only ones they make anymore.
Yeah.
yeah.
that makes sense.
Wow.
So let's pick the assembly dates that work.
Okay, so we're talking, hold on.
So
You
it's-
had the dates that everybody replied to, right?
So we're looking at let me just get my calendar up. We're looking at the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, or the 6th. Frankly,
Of November.
of November, thank
What's,
you.
oh, let's see, what's the assembly for?
It's when we actually put the ballots and the self-addressed envelope. we-
Not assembly, okay.
Assembling.
Mhm.
Not assembling that, we're not gonna
Okay,
have,
I was
a talent contest.
I know, I'm like, hold on, an assembly.
Everyone's doing the
Assembling,
auditorium, second
okay.
period.
Assembling,
Okay.
assembling. So that takes, a couple of hours. So it could be, in shifts. So we've got critical masses the morning of November 4th. And it looks like, we have people, the morning of November 4th, we've got like 3 people. We've got David, Roger, and Bob on the morning of November 4th. For November 5th, we've got Winna, Bob, and David in the morning and Roger in the afternoon. And yeah, so Michelle is out that we're not going to have the benefit of Michelle.
I don't have daycare, so
Yeah.
it's very hard
Yeah.
for me. to-
Exactly. Well,
Unless.
maybe your kids.
How do your kids feel?
I could, I will only have one with me, and if it's nothing of sensitive matter, I'm not opposed to
Yeah,
bringing him
so-
on a road trip.
We can like give them,
They can play with something in my office.
we can give them, we can give them their own things to
So
assemble.
yes, I
and
They can
available,
put stamps on.
and they would probably enjoy that very much.
Ideas of that.
Well, you keep that in mind. So like maybe November 4th is a date that works for folks. Or November 5th is also a date, but we get Roger at 1:30.
You pick.
The 4th?
Fourth.
Okay, 4th selection day. So and it's also my daughter's birthday. So
Oh, all right.
November 4th, 2025 is our assembly day.
So that's a Tuesday,
yeah,
and you're looking at, I wouldn't be here till probably 10.
okay,
So we can start at 10.
okay.
All right.
And, Michelle, if we'll leave it to you.
Okay. I may be able to also see what my husband's schedule is that week. I know.
It's not transparent.
Only at once. The way the world is going.
I understand.
Okay,
So
we can expect, an update on emails from you.
Yep.
Yeah, ultimately, as we get close to
Sure.
confirming.
Yep.
Yeah.
And all these dates will go on the schedule that we're about to make later on today
Okay,
as well. So that
So we have,
makes sense to
we can
me.
just
Got everything.
handwrite them on
got
here.
everything in one place
Yep.
at one time.
Yeah,
Well, we'll get a new printed copy, I'm sure, shortly after the meeting. And that could be a couple of days,
With Brett.
20 minutes.
Exactly.
okay.
How many different locations?
That's
do
not
you
an
have to- Oh,
expectation, by the way.
Uh,
Brett.
ballots are going to the home address.
I'm sorry, I missed the first part of your question.
I was asking about how many locations, but really it's the ballots are going to the home address.
Correct. They're not going to their office location or work location. They're going to home address. Because there won't be any not that there wouldn't be any interference from the employer. So
I mean, how's the tension level
tension,
at work?
as it's,
Okay,
Corrections is corrections.
Yeah.
right?
So you can read about it and,
Will you come out with a schedule for the counting or, because I have 9 AM, I just want to double check.
you mean who's doing what?
Yeah, because for counting, you said you're not anticipating for the afternoon.
Yeah, I'm not, if we're
So
starting at
just
9.
9, okay,
I think it maybe like 1:30.
Oh, I know end time, I just wanted to double check. If it was gonna be like UVM where we split shifts or something.
Yeah, because we were actually, we were taking in the ballots
Yeah.
multiple days.
Mhm.
And then we had our counter, I think you were part of the counters,
Counter,
Roger
yep.
was, I forget, someone else might have been there.
Alan.
Okay. So,
No, I escaped.
okay. Yeah, so if someone has of the jobs that I've described, if someone has a preference to be, I'm comfortable being on the counting team, would be towards the end of the day, end of the session, which would be like 1:30. I'm really good with names. I can be reading them off or, checking them. I'm very detail oriented. I'm good at confirming because we're going to, I or Brett or one of you is going to be reading off the names. Someone else is going to be checking it off because if that name comes up again, we're not going to put it in the ballot box. So,
Do you go back and pull that other ballot then? Because if they're different and they're both on the same name, you don't know which one to use. Say that the name
Do they
came up,
get both disqualified?
do
in
they
other words?
both get disqualified?
And are we looking for marks and stuff as
yeah,
well?
we're looking for marks on the ballot
Mhm.
I
itself.
suppose the idea behind that would be the only reason somebody would submit to willingly would be to vote for the same position twice. Like, why would it wouldn't make sense for them to submit two and vote in opposite?
Unless someone, yeah. it wouldn't.
But
We,
you're right, Jim. I see what you're saying.
but there have been times when we sent out a ballot to Jane Smith. And Jane Smith says, I lost my ballot, or I moved somewhere else. And so we send her a new ballot to the new address. When we send out the second ballot, we send out the envelope is a different color. It's coming back to me. The envelope's a different color. So we're not going to, we have an indication, oh, this is from the second time,
So
not
you
the
make
first
mark
time.
by her name to watch. for
Yeah,
that.
yeah, so, but
That's
this
good
is a good,
that was good that you asked that.
yeah, it's a good conversation because we did this like 3 years ago, so,
I suppose there could be duplicate names. Be
there
more
are
than one
sometimes
Jane Smith.
duplicate names, and they have the middle initial or the address is different. So when that happens, we read off the address to distinguish the two. Okay. Any questions pending? Did someone have a question? Okay.
good luck with the game plan.
That was very interesting. Love that conversation. Any other comments on the process?
Sure, will sort of come back to us as we start to start.
It just has to come back to Judith.
I sort of in my mind, I have the picture of the envelopes and the boxes and going
Yeah.
through.
Yeah. I think you were one of the, I remember seeing you in my memory. I see you at the table.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Roger and Rogers.
Yeah. You and Roger were there.
Was that for corrections?
It was for
Yeah,
corrections.
it was corrections.
It was
yeah.
corrections.
I thought it was for the at-home daycare.
It might have been both. I wasn't there
Oh,
for
I didn't-
at-home
I didn't-
daycare.
No, I remember the at-home
I
daycare.
didn't do that one.
That was a big one. That one had a lot more.
And UVM was different because it was in person.
That was in person.
How,
Yeah.
how long was the at-home daycare in terms of how long it took to count, if you remember?
I think it was the morning. I remember the assembly took longer,
Yeah. that
but,
seemed to take a couple
but the
days.
counting, I think was the morning.
Thank you. Let's kind of go back to the assembling and maybe we can like have a backup for like the 5th, just in case we don't finish
Well,
on the 4th.
on the daycare one, we only had a couple people
Okay,
and it was a
Okay.
much larger mailing. There were
Mhm.
thousands.
okay.
As I recall, we probably want this room for that assembly as
November 4th, we need to schedule. one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we used the conference room at Baldwin Street
Yeah,
and there's paper involved in
a lot of paper.
boxes.
Yeah, and we had set up, I remember setting up stations. So you each had
Yeah.
your, you each had like a
Mhm.
row of, you
Wait.
got one of each thing goes in this envelope and here's
Right.
your tray, you put it in.
Yeah.
So we had at least 3
Yeah.
people and, if we have 4 or 5, we'll have 4 or 5 tables.
Was
We
there
have plenty of tables.
Was there something that we did that involved alphabetical order of names or something?
Yeah, we put, everything is in alphabetical order.
Yeah.
So. And when we get the ballots, we put them in alphabetical order. So that's time consuming. So, yeah, it's time consuming. It's a time for an election this time. It's very time consuming. They'll build up the facilitating, the assembling of the ballots takes time, and the actual counting of them and takes time. So
I remember when we did the daycare, didn't we do batches? And we had to make sure so we'd have a batch of 20 votes and you did that and say, okay, that was batch 1 and you put the results down. And then you had to have that verified by somebody else as we went through. And we did it by batches.
Yeah, they-
But, it can be done any number of ways. That happened to be Melinda and Tim's idea of.
Does it make sense? Because then if you have a mistake, then it's only within 20. You
Yeah.
don't have to go all the way back.
okay, or maybe.
So anyway, I just remember we had batches when we counted the votes.
That's what we did at UVM too, and it was easier because then after every batch, I want to say it was after every 50.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right.
Stop.
Yep, you're
We
right.
said, okay, let's recount, and then
Yep.
you had that,
We checked it-
remember? We were
checked
checking each other's.
checked
Yes.
each other.
So we checked that, made sure like you
Yeah.
had 50, I had 50,
right.
and then if we didn't have each the same, we did it all over again. But
Yeah.
instead of doing all
Yes.
300, we
Yeah,
just
that's the
did.
Right.
actual counting of them.
Correct.
Very, very.
Right,
yeah.
you don't want to be looking for.
So smart to
one
do that.
discrepancy in
Because we
300.
found a
Yeah.
few discrepancies a
Yeah.
few times.
But
so.
at 50,
Oh,
it's manageable
There you
to
go.
reconcile.
See, this
And we
is all good.
we could do less. I just
Yeah.
No,
remember.
no, you're right.
50.
But
Yeah.
we did that and you're absolutely right. It makes sense to do.
And
So,
Franco and I observed a few of the county clerk recounts of county elections.
Oh.
That's, they segregated and created batches to go through and do the stuff. So
I don't know who
that's
found
true.
them, but
I've done that with municipal elections.
at Vermont NEA, we used to get like 3 ladies from the Barry Senior Center or whatever every time. Put them in the conference room and let them do the whole thing.
our Bennington court clerk back in the day, whenever she needed more jurors, called the same people in every time, her buddies. And all of a sudden, attorneys finally figured out, wait, how come so-and-so's on so many juries? She didn't last much longer in her job.
Okay. This has been a really fruitful conversation.
I just remember now your monotone. Yes, yes. yes. I don't remember.
That was,
And I'm like, and then the tally. Like, it was like,
Yeah,
You're
like-
gonna be
like-
hearing it in your sleep.
oh, it's like, did she just say it again or is that in my head?
so, yeah, the short little recounts it's good that we
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
Because, I still remember.
Oh, I'm glad you remember that.
Yeah, and
10
we can, when
jumping
we,
jacks for every tally.
yeah, and so how about this?
Keep your
When we're
brain away.
assembling, we're going to go over in a little bit more detail that process so that everyone on the day of is all up to speed.
And it's
So-
all those pieces there's some color coding in them, as I recall, right? Which you put in the envelopes or,
Yeah,
Yeah.
the ballots is, I'm not going to say,
no,
the ballots are color.
one color.
There are color, there's,
I remember UVM being one color.
Yeah,
yeah,
but
so-
I think the corrections when there were other colors.
Yep.
I vote for Puce.
Yeah.
Okay, any more discussion on elections? Again, another entertaining. All right, our next, gotta get my game plan out here again. The case management schedule for action and decision making. Judith, you'd like to explain this one
Sure.
for us?
So this is a work in progress. Recall last board meeting, the recommendation from the board was to develop a standard, I'm calling it standard operating
Mhm.
procedure, but calendar or anticipated
Expectations,
deadlines,
yeah.
triggering events, anticipated expectations for when things are done or are due. The only statutory deadlines that we have for when board action needs to be is the elections. So it's, within, if there were a hearing on a unit determination, the board decision needs to come out within 5 days of the hearing, or if the parties submit briefing within 5 days of the briefing, and the briefing needs to be within 5 days of the hearing. And those are business days or working days. So we don't have deadlines imposed on us. So we being me, would want, and the board is recommending, I think it makes sense to have deadlines or impose deadlines or anticipate deadlines so that those deadlines can kind of rise to the top of the pile of the workload. And that's my language. I generated or, kind of an idea for the different proceedings that we have, the different dockets we have, grievances, unfair labor practice, and unit clarification for what would happen if a particular case were filed and what are the next steps that happen. And so I would like folks to look at this and provide their input, not for today, but I think next board meeting, we can have like maybe decision-making on this and make changes to it. But I just want to walk you through generally how it works. So for example, the grievances, the petition is filed on day one. There are certain things that happen. An answer needs to be filed. What happens then? We send out a discovery template saying, hey, parties, fill this out. They send it back to us. And then there's a discovery, the parties are engaged in discovery. I looked back on recent discovery schedules submitted and what the parties were looking at for the amount of time they wanted from the time they submitted this discovery schedule until the case is ready for hearing. And I was thinking it would be 3 months, but the parties are looking for 5 to 6 months. So the board can inform that deadline, or the board can meaning the board can say, hey, it needs to be 5 months, or we'll go with you, or it needs to be 3 months. You should be able to do this within 3 months, or recognize that folks who appear before us have their own other things and they can't do within 3 months. But what I factored in here, I think I have, I think I put in 5 months. That would be item 7. I anticipated that the hearing to be held up to 5 months from discovery schedule submission.
Excuse me, but just to understand the terminology.
Yep.
Discovery schedule submission is just, okay, this is how we plan to execute discovery. It's not that discovery has occurred.
Correct. It's, and let me see if I've brought that with me. It's not that, it's a template. It's a sheet
Right,
that says,
right.
we anticipate filing, you know, this is what it looks like for everybody. It's like, we're going to exchange information on this date. We're going to have depositions in by this date. The case is ready. Discovery, which is where they share information with each other. That period has ended by this date. We're ready for a hearing. Usually it's 2 weeks to a month after the discovery schedule ends.
Okay.
So
And so they're proposing the dates. Is it a joint proposal?
it's a joint proposal. They both,
Okay,
it used to be that you know, Tim would have a conference where it'd be back and forth and he would be kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't, borrowing from the Superior Court, which did away with scheduling conferences, the parties can do it themselves. I do get involved when there's a self-represented individual. I get involved in those, in scheduling to assist, because most times the self-represented doesn't understand what the process is. And this is an opportunity to allow that to happen. And in looking at the case summary, there's one case where it's taken a while to get that initial conference, but now we've had it going forward.
okay. So where I was coming from on this, and thinking back to my case management stuff from a former life, one of the things was the judiciary wanted to take control of the docket away from the attorney. So they then set deadlines and next steps, dates themselves. But there wasn't a lot of both parties getting together to set those dates. What encourages me about this is you've got both signatures on it. So if one of the parties is saying, wait a minute, that's too long, I need justice sooner, that can come out in this process. So the aggrieved party and the one defending are putting it together, and therefore I'm not as concerned about the time that it takes.
Okay.
Okay, because the complaint will come from the aggrieved or one of the parties about the timing on this. And if they're both signed off on it, we're not going to get that complaint.
So then it kind of breaks down. So then the hearing is scheduled, and then there's a kind of a divergence after the hearing if a transcript is scheduled, if transcript is ordered, or if a transcript isn't ordered. And then from, item number 10 on, you'll see a divide.
Now, did you look at what the turnaround time has been on transcripts?
So, it's not ideal, but it, increases things by, up to 2 months. So, and there've been some where it's been longer, but I kind of tried to average it. So,
Is all of this going to include asterisks that say by mutual agreement, deadlines can be extended?
That happens.
I'm thinking especially a briefing.
Yeah.
For example.
Yep.
It would surprise me if we said, do we have briefs in 2 weeks, and everybody all of a sudden said, we'll get them right over.
And this is, I totally agree. And this is a working document. So if you think we haven't had them submit 2 weeks in a while, I think I might be aspirational with the 2 weeks. So if you think,
I'm okay with saying it.
but so I put 2 weeks, but in reality, maybe it makes sense to say 3 weeks, which is,
In tracking these things in the courts,
Yeah.
we used to put percentages on it. So we would say, like, for some cases, 90% are done by this date because of the outliers that can occur or whatever. So each step we might have had, okay, 80% meet this
Yeah.
standard. So I think Judith is picking out roughly when that 80% or 90%,
Yeah.
can occur.
If that were the case, it wouldn't be 2 weeks, it'd be more.
Yeah,
Right.
So,
Right.
How much, it, how much do pro se's affect the ability to have a schedule like this? I'm thinking of some of the people we've seen.
yeah, for example, a pro se would extend the date when we get a discovery schedule. A pro se would just extend the date when briefs are due. A pro se may extend the date when the hearing is scheduled. So yes, it does vary. And again, the creation of this schedule was twofold. Well, there are multiple purposes for it. One being to allow me to prioritize better decision writing. The other is to try to manage our docket through kind of keeping on the parties to have more realistic expectations about how long cases take, because I think there is an unreasonable expectation, like, what we've heard in the past, from a union in particular saying, it takes too long to get a hearing, or it takes too long to get, these cases are taking too long. But they've extended, they're the ones who are like, oh, let's continue.
Yeah.
And a year and a half later is when you have the hearing. So trying to be mindful of this, but also this schedule has triggers in it, which we would be incorporating hopefully into our case management system. So, and again, I want your input in this. That's why, let's look at it in more detail next time, but I'm giving you the big overview. So yeah, 8 and 9, those,
So,
I encourage you to change those dates.
so, Judith gave a couple of reasons for it. A reason for me is accountability. We don't want to be at the legislature testifying on something and having somebody say, well, it's my information, you're delaying cases, and we can then respond exactly, here's the expectation, here's where we're at in the expectation, right? So it works, accountability both for staff, for us as board members, and us being able to respond to any question or criticism that might be out
Yeah.
there.
So looking at board involvement and my involvement in terms of deciding and deliberating. So, look at items 11 through, 11 through 13. Or 10 through 13, I have right here deliberation 2 weeks after briefs due. Is that enough time? Consider it and look at what you've done in the past, what works for you, what works for your schedule, what variables might be. And then, the next item is draft 30 days after the deliberation. That's on me. And then the next item is board review and provide comments 1 week after draft delivered. Are you able to do that? Do you need more time? Do you need less time? What works for you? And then the next is revision or deliberation. So, compiling the comments that are made. And also one thing I do after you do that is I go through as an editor looking at it, making sure the sites are, kind of doing the best I can as the person, to kind of make sure it's as correct as it can be before it goes out the door. And then turning the page, if this is a if let's say it's a termination case, let's say, we had Wamsley, we had a termination, and then we had to determine back pay. That's an example where, because of dealing with a self-represented individual, it's challenging to kind of nail down dates. And I know in that case with back pays, a lot of times the parties can stipulate to back pay. In that case, they couldn't. And there was, there needed to be some education on that, on what the hearing is about. So that resulted, before there actually was a back pay hearing, a longer period of time before we had the hearing. So yes, if it's a self-represented individual, it does impact it. But, I've got a kind of a schedule for that as well. And so if there's a remand, what do we do after remand? There's a schedule for remand. And then looking at unfair labor practice, I'll turn to that. Just at day one. If once a unfair labor practice charge is filed, that's a two-step process. The first step is determining whether to issue a complaint. And then if a complaint is issued, then there's a hearing. The process for issuing the complaint, we get the unfair labor practice charge. A letter is sent out to the other side, the defendant or the respondent in that case, saying, hey, an unfair labor practice charge has been filed. Because the statute doesn't have a response time, we tell them when to respond. Usually it's within 21 days. It's, so I send out the letter, then we get an answer. Most of the time an investigative conference is scheduled, which allows the board, us to, and it's not held by the board, it's held by me currently. It may be held by Brett in the future or in coordination, where we kind of hash out some of the information, some process, some background facts during that period of time. And sometimes we kind of highlight, oh, it sounds like you're arguing about this. And that sometimes prompts settlement. So after the investigative conference, I will check in with the board chair and let the board chair know what it is. Sometimes the board chair can make a determination whether to issue the complaint, if the complaint is issued, but the board chair alone can't decide not to issue a complaint. So a panel would need to be selected. A panel would need to then review the pleadings that have been filed and then deliberate and then decide whether to issue a complaint. If a complaint is issued, there's a procedure for that. If a complaint isn't issued, there's a procedure for that. There's a process for that. If a complaint is issued, it's a form. But when a complaint isn't issued, we have to explain why. So there's a drafting and a review process incorporated in there. And then when there's a hearing, I say go to, steps, whatever to follow along with what the timing should be, because it's comparable to a grievance. And then unit clarifications follow the grievance schedule, and elections have their own deadlines. Something I didn't put in here that I thought of after is motions. If we get a motion to dismiss, because we're getting some more of those, what the process will be. And I will incorporate that, but I'm anticipating it will be, we get the motion, we get the response, and then within 2 weeks, we want to have a deliberation, if that's possible. And then 30, up to 30 days, but hopefully less than that, but I'm going to say 30 days to draft the decision, and then the response time is similar to what we've seen in the grievances. I'm just throwing that out there. I
So-
might update this form to give you those dates.
Or
'cause I
just send us
thought-
that separately
Okay,
and say it's part of this,
okay,
okay?
great, okay,
Whenever you think of something like that, it's
Yep.
great.
okay.
And again, I look at this, that we're gonna commit ourselves to staying within these timelines. So, just so that you know, the number at the end of each item is how many days into the process.
Yeah.
That we're looking at this occurring, okay?
Yep. And so if, be realistic about your commitments. If it makes, if I'm saying you only have, a week or 2 weeks and you need 3
So-
weeks, let me know.
So we should have a couple then during golf season.
Got it. During the school year.
During the school
summer,
year.
Yeah.
Doing high
During
time
ski
daycare.
Ski season,
Shouldn't take a
Sugaring
backseat to
season,
golf-
you know,
golf season.
Well, and pickleball's year
and
round.
pickleball,
Oh,
and
good.
pickleball. So
Taking over the world.
there we go. We get,
I have a question. I don't want to forget this because I will by the next time we meet. You mentioned a motion to dismiss.
Mhm.
Now, there was one during the most recent hearing, the Brattleboro thing.
Mhm.
There was a motion to dismiss right after the
yes,
which it seemed pro forma.
Mhm.
It didn't take long to get the nod from you that we didn't grant it.
we're being recorded.
We didn't go forward. If there was a longer term consideration of such a motion, what would that do to a hearing beyond the obvious? It's going to extend things, but
Yeah, so just for everybody else who wasn't part of this, we had a hearing, was it last week or last week, gosh.
recently.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
2, yeah.
Yeah, so 2 weeks ago. Where so the union has the burden of proof. The union went first. At the end of the union's case, the employer said, I move to dismiss this because the union has not met its burden of proof. They have not presented sufficient facts to support their claim. So we caucused. The board would need to decide then. We're going to take time to look into this. You would decide then. So you might need up to an hour to kind of figure it out, but you would be deciding then.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
and to, because it's, an oral motion on the fly, it's not gonna be, a well-crafted six paragraph or whatever. It's gonna be based upon this and, the law, we're ruling this, but you would be deciding then.
Okay.
So,
And the second question I have in regard to the timeline about grievances, is there any utility in considering having different timelines for grievances that aren't job security?
that's a good
grievances?
question. Yeah, that's,
And to second guess, to
prioritization.
second guess myself, I'm not sure that sort of overcomplicates things for the parties to have to think about, two different sets of timelines. But it seems to me that there's a difference between a grievance over being denied the right to represent the union at a meeting, and a grievance over a termination.
Mhm.
And one ought to be dealt with more quickly than the other
Mhm.
for a number of both for both for reasons of that attribute to the grievance and for reasons that attribute to the state. I mean, the
Mhm.
clock is, there's money involved.
Mhm.
It's an interest case. I don't know.
I mean, that's a good topic
Uh,
for, next time, talking about it and maybe like how that would work or,
So some cases might have a more limited, generally discovery. Like I'm
Right.
thinking classification
Yeah,
cases might
Yes.
have
yeah.
a
that's
quicker
good-
timeline than a termination case.
Yeah, or
Whatever.
a dispute over use of sick leave or whatever is obviously less consequential.
I thought I solved that one in the Supreme Court.
Less consequential than being terminated for either party. Back pay reasons.
Now, let me ask you, Judith, when we go through this and we come up with an agreement as to what these timelines should be, are you considering putting that on the website, say, or just having it as a guide for you to deal with the parties in their conversations and stuff like that?
I guess I hadn't thought about that. But it's, maybe this is the process, like, in terms of, I mean, one thing we don't have that I would like to have is, kind of a more, we have a lot of, bless you, we have a lot of information on our website. But one thing, directed to self-represented folk so that they know here are the steps involved.
And
this might be helpful on that, but it also could, having the, the expectation kind of cuts both ways. So well, some of this is attorney-client communication, which I don't want in the public.
Right.
So I just
want you
brainstorming.
over time be thinking about
Yeah.
how public this is.
Yeah.
And I don't mind it, transparency is good, sunshine is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
But we got to pick and choose what the
Yeah.
sunshine is.
I mean, I think this will be helpful to lay out the steps, but I'm not going to lay out, I do this, you do this,
Yeah.
I'm not, all of the deliberation stuff. It's,
And have you thought about how this will look for your job performance? As someone might take this and say, well, this should have happened at this time based on what you have written here.
yeah,
Well, will that be good or bad based on how it's been
Yeah.
going?
Well, I think, part of this is a kind of like I said before, it's in a sense of prioritization, because when I came on, right before I came on, the legislature modified the election statute. So elections go to the top of the pile. Like, you can be you can be in the middle of writing something, an election comes, and because the timelines are so quick. And so I didn't have that pull for deadlines for other things. So, I wasn't as rigorous with deadlines as we haven't fallen behind on elections ever. So, knowing what the expectation is helpful. And there may be, I know there will be cases. I'm imagining, like a couple of years ago when we had those two cases that I asked the board members to talk about collaboratively, the process took longer. And for that type of a situation, I think that's okay. And if, you're evaluating me and I'm not hitting the 30-day thing, but half of them were those types of cases or whatever, so I don't know, maybe I'm being naive. I'm trying to kind of set, an expectation, and maybe what I put here is more aspirational and maybe I should change it slightly, but I put it to kind of get the ball rolling.
It's also to respond to the thing. How come it takes so long?
Yeah.
You know, for some things to get
Yeah,
done.
I mean,
You know?
this is an ideal schedule, and this is how long it takes. And
Yeah.
it's longer than what folks think it takes.
Right.
So you're right, that is very helpful.
And again, you know, in talking with Judith and trying to do an evaluation of what's
Right.
going on, you know, we have,
This-
I have no expectation right now of what things should take or anything like that. So if I get a call from a board member, why hasn't such and such gotten out yet? You know, I'm sitting there going, oh, well, I don't know. You know, I have no day-to-day idea what goes on in Judith's life here or anything like that. Things just sort of serendipitously land on my plate once in a while. No, but so it was an attempt
Yeah.
by that, you know, and because of my 34 years in the judiciary, we developed those kinds of tracking because you've got, you know, 64 courts around the state that you're accountable for.
Right.
And so you needed some sort of measures to understand if you know people were processing things in an appropriate manner. And so, you know, that's where this comes from.
And just going back to your example earlier of, well, we are able to determine we have 80% here or whatever. I'm not getting in the weeds with any of that. That's not going to happen. So just because.
Oh, no, that,
I just wanted to,
yeah,
you know,
that was more like,
put the kibosh
okay,
on that expectation.
where,
Yeah.
where are, you know, how many,
Right, to look at where we
when
are
should,
on these things.
small claims cases, 80% ought to be done in 6 months, you know? Things happen, they may not meet that, but that was what the expectation was. No, our caseload isn't anything near that kind of caseload, so.
And also staffing.
Exactly.
So, you know,
That can be part of the argument when you say going to ask for the other attorney is to
Mhm.
say, you know,
Yeah.
if you want us
Oh,
to meet these
absolutely.
expedited timelines that we're creating, like it would be helpful to have
Another attorney.
another person.
Right.
Yeah. Oh,
It-
absolutely.
It
Absolutely.
precisely, like you were just talking about site checking.
Yep.
Boy, the ideal thing would be have two of you. One puts it down initially and the other person goes and say, you know, you're
Exactly.
way off base on
Yeah,
this
it's-
one.
You know, exactly.
Yeah.
So, because, you know, no one's perfect.
So Judith, do you, because there was mention of what we put on the website, or if we put on the website, do you view this as primarily for you, or
I think it's primarily the board.
For us.
Yeah.
for us?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
it has, you know, my expectations of you, your expectations of me, and also generally what the workflow is. Because, like, you know, maybe some of you didn't appreciate that all of this happened, you know, the different steps. So that, you know, when you see cases, the number of cases are going up, you know, the number of cases are going down, you know, what that might mean in terms of the workflow and cases. So,
I haven't looked at the website in
uh-huh.
a long time.
Yep.
Is there anything on there now about how things, what's the process, how things work?
It's not as granular as that. There are general descriptions for what each type of matter is, but unless there's not, this is step 1, this is step 2, this is step 3, this is step 4,
Yeah.
which I think would be helpful, especially I think it's helpful for self-represented people and also attorneys who have never appeared before us before.
Right.
And also, I think would be very helpful in elections regarding what that
yeah.
process is, because frankly, there are a number of unions and council who are not aware of
the
what
statute.
of the statute and what the deadlines are. Most of them aren't.
Right.
So that would be, you know, they're like, oh, well, we're going to have discovery on the unit. I'm like, no, you're not.
I think that would be good,
Mm-hmm.
but I also think we'd probably, again, thinking of pro se's, we don't want to to appear so daunting that,
Mhm.
again, especially those who aren't represented,
Yeah,
we can't go to a union rep who says, I'll take care of this, or this is what I do, or, you know, somebody from the AG's office. Again, the layperson looking at it and saying, oh, I could never do that. I might as
Yep.
well.
Yep.
I might as well
so there's a balance.
eat my concern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perhaps the way you present it.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a balance on that, pictures and,
I mean,
No, it's a very,
contracts have grievance procedures. We assume people can at least read those.
yeah. But frankly, there's a lot of detail in those and you
Yeah.
know what I mean? So I don't know that but I think those are really good concerns about how to, you know, kind of more big picture. But I think, again, with self-represented people, I don't think they have that big picture, you know?
It's why the courts actually created classes for self-represented people when the family court was created. 'Cause,
Yeah, or small claim stuff, right? I assume.
yeah, you know, the docket exploded 4,000 cases to 16,000 cases when the legislature finally recognized that maybe it was one-sided in family court prior to then. And I was fortunately out with gallbladder surgery, so I didn't have to work on the implementation.
This is a lot of work.
You plan on
Generating this or
Yeah.
No,
Case is a lot of work.
I just, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to go
I think it's extremely
I
helpful.
appreciate your work.
Yeah.
This is
So-
a big deal.
And again, like I said, this also is helpful in selecting or creating a case management system that incorporates
Yeah.
triggers. So this, you know, it's a worthwhile exercise, but I definitely am looking to you
Yeah.
to kind of look realistically about things. And I'll take it, I'll look over it again, because I think you're right about the briefs. I think, you know, to be a little bit more realistic. But I just wanted to kind of get the ball rolling with this. So look at it between now and our next board meeting, and we could talk more detailed, granularly about dates and stuff like that, and answer your questions about what do you mean by this? And I don't understand what this is, type of thing.
Okay. Is that enough on that discussion? Excellent. Moving on to the caseload.
So there are two documents. One is this case statistics and the other is status of cases. I want to give you some highlights.
Is item 7, we
Yeah,
skipping item?
status of second neutral.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
See, that's what happens when I bury the agenda.
I'm trying to check
Thank
that
you.
off.
So,
One is like, please don't skip that.
yes, exactly.
Why? Are you interested in that?
Yeah, I
So,
can take it all off.
Bob, I'll share the information I have and then you can, you know.
I wasn't going to show that.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
So, okay. So as you all know, we're in need of a second neutral. The Department of Labor sent out a recruitment notice a couple of months ago. They received my understanding is they received some applicants. I know that they had at least 2 interviews with folk. As of today, I don't know. Do I need tissues left or those are all gone?
Oh, there's certainly.
Yes, please.
And if those are gone, there's paper towels over here.
So, So I don't know if any names have been sent to the governor yet. Excuse me. Excuse me. So it's October. Maybe a name has been sent. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think a name has been sent yet to the governor, and it's October. So maybe within this month, a name or 2 might be sent to the governor. I fear that we may not have a neutral through a second neutral through the end of the year. That's I'm thinking that.
I think that's realistic.
So that's where we are. And we don't have control over that, obviously. I did want to report that Michelle has been reappointed. You've been notified, yeah, I've been
I
notified.
did get notified.
Okay.
Yeah, with my stuff, I ended up getting the mail, signed it and returned it. So yes, it's official.
Okay, so that's good news.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
So we have one neutral until, I'm thinking, the beginning of the year. We could be pleasantly surprised, but
I will say, I do have one comment about it. I did talk to the person in charge of appointments in the governor's office the other night. And she did say to me that they understand it's a priority to get done. That they're very sorry that it's taken this long. So knowing that at least somebody's starting to pay attention. It's good. Then.
Good news then.
okay. So, I hope we're mindful of when is time when we schedule things out, going.
Gwen has the ability to veto anything we do.
All right. So going back to status of cases and caseload, since we met last time, there were 2 cases that were pending with the Vermont Supreme Court. In both of those cases, the parties reached an agreement and the appeals were dismissed. That was in Draper. That was the V-Trans person. And the other was grievance of Walmsley. In both of those matters, the parties reached an agreement and the case was dismissed.
Oh, that's the higher assignment pay one.
Yeah. So that's interesting. That's the first time that's happened since I've been here. But I was very heartened, especially with respect to at least one of them, that happened. I
think it was Bob's math.
Yes.
that
Yes.
won the day.
Yes, exactly.
Finding the hidden column.
Yeah.
Spreadsheet.
That's always helpful. There are, when we're selecting we have 6 cases that we need to schedule, that we already know the parties have submitted their discovery schedule and they're looking to schedule things. So we need to be mindful of including those. We are getting, we have more.
Now, let me on that statement.
Yeah.
My understanding is we set up days were available for hearings, and then you assign the case to the hearing. Right?
There are some, but there's one 2-day hearing case. So we'll need to
be mindful
of that. But there are a number of cases
Do you
that,
try and set those up back-to-back days?
or
So it doesn't end up like the one that we just heard and then it gets extended for months.
Exactly. And that's why we ask the parties, how long is this going to take you? And we hope they're candid in the response. So we're asking, they know the case when they're doing this. We don't know how many witnesses they're going to have. They know. So a lot of times we schedule 2 days and they really only need 1 day. That's better than scheduling 1 day and then being stuck and having to schedule a second day.
And then another day.
Yeah. So I just wanted to give
and did you on those 6 cases, sometimes they say they're ready, but gee, we don't want to do it till such and such a time. Right? Because of vacations or something like
they
that.
provide their unavailability dates. Okay. But my hope was that we would schedule out long enough to capture these cases.
Oh yeah, I don't disagree with you.
Okay, so that's what I meant when we want to incorporate them, because sometimes we don't. and then the parties are wondering when the hearing is. Okay, so we have, in addition to, we have 2 elections. Just going through this case statistics kind of provides an overview of the more detailed. We have 2 elections pending. One is the big one that we talked about. One was just filed.
It's the one that just who's looking for one in the one just filed? I just like to know who the party is.
Sure, it's
Oh, is it in the cases?
yep, it's
Oh, okay.
United
Never
Federation
mind
of
then.
Police.
All right, I got it.
Yep.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
I see the references.
yeah, so I included the reference
Yep.
this time around.
That's good.
So,
Excellent.
so we have 2 elections. One was just filed, and that, you know, that one too, there's a current union, and so there's a second union coming in wanting to represent the group. In that case, there is no collective bargaining agreement, even though the union has existed for a long, has been the exclusive bargaining representative for a long time. So that one I would anticipate would not be as involved. It's also it's a much smaller group. ULPs, we have 12. I wanted to highlight that there's a motion to dismiss pending, and the panel, it's on 2516. So that's on a panel that previously, I think the panel for that should be the same panel that previously decided whether to issue the complaint. So that's David, Gwenna, and Michelle. I have in the office the hard copies of the motion to dismiss. I think I previously sent you the electronic copies. So we should pick a day to deliberate on that matter. I don't know if you're up for it now. Probably not. You may be. I don't. That's up to you. But
You mean at the end of this, we could just stay?
yeah, if you want to.
Yeah.
I don't know if Michelle, you'd be prepared for that.
I have an appointment,
Okay,
but we
yeah.
can discuss that, see where we end.
Yeah, and then we can, if we can't do it, then you can schedule
Yeah.
when. But I just wanted to highlight that so that we get that on the books. On one of the ULPs, we have a second day of hearing coming up. So, and just because we're on the topic, for unfair labor practice complaints, I just wanted to state that unlike grievances where the board is guided by the rules of evidence, with unfair labor practice complaints, you have to adhere, the parties have to adhere to the rules of evidence. So your rulings on that need to, there might involve some caucusing, just FYI going forward. It might involve some caucusing on that. We don't often see, or we don't see as much on in grievances. I just wanted to mention that while it was on my mind. So a couple of cases, there's one case that they're trying to settle. There's one investigative conference coming up in one matter. We have a couple of hearings that we need to schedule. Kind of high topic, high level overview. Grievances, we have 9 grievances pending. We have 4 hearings to schedule, and those are likely all to be happening, in the spring. So although that might be further out than we usually calendar, I'd like to calendar for those when we get to that. I am working on a decision, drafting a decision in one case. I provided a draft to folks on one case. There has been a motion to reconsider filed in a dismissal order, and if I haven't sent that to you folk, I think I might have, I think I did, in 2439. So we need to set up a deliberation time on that as well. I don't think you can do both of them today. So we need a date on that. And there's a settlement pending on one matter. And unit clarification, we have two cases. One is,
Did you say 2439? I thought that one was already done.
yeah, there's a motion to reconsider.
Yeah, I thought we already did the reconsideration.
Okay.
Isn't that Roger and me and?
Oh, yes, you're right. That's me. It's on me. That's one of the ones that I'm working on. Thank
Yeah,
you.
okay.
Thank you very much for clarifying. So you don't need to.
I was looking at that going, I
Thank
think I
you. So
recognize that.
that's on me. That's one of the items I'm drafting. There's a total of 25 cases pending. 38 cases have been filed so far. We've had, since we met last time, I think we've resolved 12 matters total since last time. And that's kind of a summary. And the new cases, detail of cases filed since last time are on the status of cases. One of the cases, one of the ULPs, David has recused himself on. So when we get to scheduling, we will need to look at that. And one of the cases, there's a 2-day hearing that we need to be aware of. Oh, I'm sorry, 14 cases have been closed since last board meeting.
And according to our pending cases, we only have 3 cases. Well, 3 cases listed prior to 2024. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cases listed prior to 2024. And of those, 1, 2 are in draft. 1 is closed.
No, there are
Closed.
2. There are 2. There
Okay.
are 3 no, there
So
are 2. Prior to 2024.
There are only 2 that are now, that are still working.
Yep. So
Yep.
one is,
That's good. I'm just,
yeah. And so, because the 2023, that was the UBM and that's done.
right. Well, we hope it's done.
They might appeal again. But I don't, anyway, that's,
Yeah.
safe. But, one thing I wanted to mention, the United Auto Workers, the union has filed a ULP because the assertion is that the employer, UVM, is not negotiating with them. So it's a failure to negotiate in good faith. So that has been filed. That's one of the new ULPs.
That's the answer to the question, what happens
There you
in
go.
the interim?
You will find out. You will be part of that.
Let me wait till, let us hold off the negotiations till those jerks that testified against us are gone, graduated.
Oh,
No, that's just the
takes a,
base side of me looking at things.
takes a long time to get a doctor.
Yeah, I think at least one of them is still there. So, so that's one of the an investigative conference will be scheduled for that.
The
Conference too, yeah, that's to be held. That's the 3rd item. Yeah, 2531.
Okay,
investigative conference is kind of a new words for me. What happens? So do you actually talk to both parties, or do you? I mean, this is for the executive director, right?
Yeah, it's actually a conference where both sides are 36, where both sides are actually on a Teams conference. And so, I'd say we have the answer and the petition, the unfair labor practice charge. I explain what the purpose of it is. And I start usually with the party that submitted their charge, ask them if there's something they want to highlight. And, I sometimes have questions.
So what makes the both parties come together? What if one party doesn't want to participate?
It's to their benefit to participate. If they don't, I schedule it and they appear.
Okay, so you get agreement that
Yeah,
get
Mhm.
buy-in then.
yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes a while, like, again, looking, and I'm gonna look at this a little bit with a sharper pencil, the schedule of things, because I say it's 2 weeks to schedule an investigative conference. A lot of times they're like, I can't do it for 3 weeks. I'm gonna be in Maui, that's the goal. But if I can get it within 4 weeks, that's great. So maybe I'll look at that to kind of average that a little bit. I'll look back between now and our next meeting. I looked back on the length of discovery. I'll look back on how long it takes to get that, because there's a recent one where it took a while to
I
get.
will never consider these types of things etched in stone even after we approve it. To me, there's always
Yep.
time to reflect and review and
Yep.
modify.
So anyway, so they answer questions that I might have about what they submitted, because sometimes, they might use terms that, they're familiar with. I'm not. Who's who? They say they might list names, but not who the positions are, figuring out. And like for me, figuring out the timeline is often critical with kind of understanding these cases. And sometimes, I've seen it, the party says, this is what we're really concerned about. And the other side, we didn't know that's what you were really concerned about. And that it actually, kind of prompts a conversation.
Sure.
So that's what happens. And it, can go anywhere from 45 minutes. I've had a couple that were like 2.5 hours, but so that's what happens at those.
All right. Well, thank you for that comprehensive update on things. Board hearing assignments. Are you ready for that?
This is the final thing. Just, I'm just making sure that you don't need me after this meeting.
No, because you've already decided. So, yes, I don't. Yeah.
Okay.
Could we just take a quick break? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Good.
All right, back in session and time to look at our calendars and determine what days we can schedule hearings on and who might be involved. Now, we've already got some days on the list we have, and based on information earlier in the meeting, I think we've got to modify some of these things. Because we have neutral number one, and neutral number one hasn't been appointed, and we're not expecting neutral number one to be appointed in time for these things, these events. So we have a hearing scheduled on October 30. We've got a panel set up for that. We have a date selected, November 13th. But I don't think we want to do that one because everybody's going to be involved the week.
And also, we don't have a neutral because Gwen is not available.
I
Sorry.
understand that, but Gwen could step up and say, oh, I'd like to do that date.
On
She's
November,
not available.
Okay. Oh, okay, right. I see that now underneath it. Oh, sorry about that.
Okay.
Okay, November 20th.
November 20th, I'm available.
You are available? Would you like to be on the panel?
I can do.
Okay,
And the chances of us actually having a hearing on that day
I realize.
are slim. That would be if we need a unit determination hearing.
Okay. All right. And then December 4th, we have a continuation regarding the town of Brattleboro.
Right. That's,
And December 11th, since we're doing the ballot counting, let's take that off. And then December 18th, let's keep the potential for the board meeting on that date to mainly deal with budget and upcoming the upcoming legislative session. But for sure, we'll have a meeting on the 12th of January.
Are you still keeping the December 18th?
You would keep it tentatively. It's a tentative.
I don't understand why we're doing that.
I think the thought was just in case for budgeting reasons. I don't,
Yeah, it's only if something comes up that we know is gonna happen with the upcoming legislative session that we need to have the board informed and make a decision about. It might be Judith comes back from all the budget discussions and says, I don't think we really want to put this one forth. Right now, there's a negative environment out there or something along that line.
we would have submitted it already to the administration.
Right.
So that starts in 2 weeks. That's why I needed your approval in advance of that. But the legislature obviously wouldn't be starting until January. So just in case there's something we might need to kind of fix or modify.
Yeah.
Yes.
Probably unlikely. Okay, January 22nd. Or January 29th. So we've already got a case on the 29th, right?
29th and 30th, it's a 2-day.
30 is scheduled for 2 days.
So since Gwenna, are you available the 29th and
I
30th?
can be available all 3 of those days if you want to do all.
Well,
I would suggest we get rid of the 22nd.
yeah,
Thanks for being such a team player, though.
all right. And that's as far as my list goes.
Yeah, so we need
Yeah.
dates. So, I begin to have the need to schedule things beginning in like the last week of March. But
You don't need any February dates?
I don't. The discovery, hold on, just give me a second on one of them, this guy. Yeah, no, it's not until the end of March. Yep, end of March, beginning of April.
So we all can plan February and the tropics.
If there's you might want to have one date, one in February, just in case we have a unit.
Well, that's what I was trying to push, see. Would you have any preference of when in February that would be?
I don't.
February 12th, Lincoln's birthday?
Widely known as Lincoln's birthday.
Those of us old enough to remember before
When is-
President's Day?
Yeah. Or we can even, no, we've got the 2-day on January 29th and 30th.
The 19th?
Yeah, I think the 12th.
Well, I was thinking, isn't the 19th a blackout day for most of the skiers?
Oh,
Actually, it's that Friday, that's the blackout day, because they
I
do
never
the
know what, yeah, it'll
Friday,
be that,
Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
yeah, it'll be that week because of,
School vacation?
President's school vacation in
Yeah.
Connecticut is the week of the 16th.
So much I still have to learn about living in Vermont.
But I am thinking that some people might take the week of that week off. And school vacation.
That's why I was trying to stay away from it.
Okay.
School vacation's the.
For Vermont is
next
the
week.
23rd, so I'm not available that week because
Okay.
I will.
Okay, so let's go with the 12th.
And that's for, that's a potential,
As a
Vermont gets a
potential
lot of
hearing
time
date.
off in their
school
school
vacation,
system.
and it's best not to schedule things because witnesses might, be taking off.
And it
not have
also
childcare.
ties in with elections,
Yeah.
so like town meeting days.
Then
So
there's-
schools get
Yeah.
a whole week and a half off
Yeah.
from February to March.
Yeah, town meeting day is the first Tuesday in March, so.
Early
school-
spring break, that's nice.
Oh, they still get spring
There's
break
also-
too.
So they're off the week before town meeting and then it goes until the second.
Yeah, they don't go back to school till
But
Wednesday.
there's no spring.
Don't be silly.
That's
yeah.
why
Yeah.
people travel.
Because there's nowhere to go in spring.
Correct.
You
It's
can't
mud
get
season.
anywhere.
There's
No.
no spring in Vermont.
Right.
John. It's
Right,
mud
in the
season.
fall, there's stick season, and in the spring, it's mud season.
Yeah. But Michelle is right. There are 2 vacations and then there'll be another one is it April?
End of April,
End of
last week of April,
Yeah.
which I think, I don't know, we haven't booked out that.
Well, we
But
will
I'm,
need to because we've got a bunch
I'm
of
hoping that we're gonna have a neutral by this time anyway.
likewise. Yeah, yeah.
So let's do, on the 12th, Bob, Roger, and neutral. And when I can get some skating lessons in.
no, I'll be skiing by then.
Okay,
Yeah, that week's okay.
okay, now we're gonna jump to March.
So maybe, in the beginning and, and at the end, again, I don't, of the cases that have been filed, unless, I don't have any ready for hearing dates before the end of March. So I've got,
So we should have probably the 12th and 26th anyway,
no, I would say the 19th. I wouldn't do the 12th. I would do
Okay.
the 19th.
19th and 26th.
Do you have specific dates you need scheduled?
Well, I have cases that need to be scheduled. I don't have the date. They just say like, they're not available this day, they're not available that day. The case is ready by March 13th, which is a Friday, so that doesn't help you. But I know like, they're not available April 20th to the 24th. So that's why we need dates in April and May. And I'm trying to plan a trip in April, first 2 weeks of April, somewhere in there. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, and that first week of April, I'm gone as well.
okay. So,
I think I'm gone the second.
And
week.
I'd like to block out first week and last week, so.
okay.
All
So
right,
are we in March?
so March,
Third week of April.
so March 19th, I'm not available on the 26th, so I'm gonna put myself down for the 19th. And David, can you do the 26th?
Oh, yep.
So Michelle, can you do the 26th?
Yeah.
So you're not gonna try to do the 19th.
No, I'm gonna do the 19th. I just haven't gotten round to it yet.
Got it.
Because if I put you, then you get, for the
Okay,
most part, Michelle.
right.
Yeah.
But then, but that gives Roger the 19th.
Potentially, yeah. Roger, the 19th, good for you?
Yes.
Bingo. And Gwenna, your choice of the 19th or 26th,
I would probably take the 19th.
okay? And so we have neutral,
Yeah, because I leave on the
On
27th and don't get
27th.
back until the end of
Right.
6th.
okay. So now we get to April. April is a challenging month from what I've just heard. Okay, I am not here from the 10th to the 19th. And when do you need dates, Judith?
I need dates beginning in April, and I can, so, let's start with the 2-day hearing. Let me just find that real quick. Got it. Find it. Okay, 2447. All right, so I need a 2-day hearing beginning after April. So they're not ready until after April. So,
2446
yeah, 2447.
or 47?
They need 2 days.
Your note here says for hearing in April 26.
Well, that's when they're available.
They're
Okay.
available for the hearing in April or after April?
It's after April.
So what I heard a couple of minutes ago, Michelle, you're not available the first and last weeks?
No, I was just looking at.
Oh, okay.
So this is a case that wouldn't be in April. It'd be
In May.
in May.
In May.
Oh, so the note is a little different here. Hearing in May of.
I should have said after.
Okay, I'm sorry. So what do you have for April? Anything you need for April?
Sure, I have a case, that can't be scheduled on May 14th. So this is, 2448. It's a 1-day hearing. And self-represented individual. That has any bearing. Anybody?
Okay. Michelle, what's your availability in April now?
416, the 16th.
You are available on the 16th?
Yes.
Can we not,
Oh, no.
I'd rather leave.
Oh, that,
Just-
oh,
oh,
yeah.
That's
I'm
your
trying to-
2
I'm
weeks.
out.
So,
Okay.
like the 23rd and the 30 are open for me.
Okay.
And
Well, I
I
can
don't
do
have anything
either of
down yet.
those.
Okay, and see, the week of the
I can do
20th to the
either of those
24th,
as
there's
well.
no school week, spring break.
Okay,
And
so
then
April 30th.
well, and then I may have a conference
Yeah.
that I'm going to for work
So-
from the 29th to the 1st.
so we'll do the 23rd. And let's do Bob.
Just, are we concerned, no, I think we're okay, because I know the attorney doesn't have,
I can do the 23rd or the 30th.
yeah,
It makes,
let's make it the 23rd and see if it works. They didn't
Okay.
say anything.
to switch things up a little bit, David, are you available on the
Yeah.
23rd?
Shakespeare's birthday, but.
Oh, well, Roger will be reading, so that's why you can't do it. All right, and let's see, we use the neutral on the 26th. Gwen, can you do the 23rd?
I can.
Okay,
And just going back on the 26th, it's phantom neutral,
yeah, phantom neutral.
The 23rd.
the 20, no.
Oh,
Of March.
26th.
Going
Oh,
back.
sorry. Okay.
Like,
Okay,
so
so
many
that, let
days.
me just, so we got that April, 2516. 2516 is, I'm just looking, there's only 1 week in April that they could make it, so I might, do a little magic here. So, that's true. So now we're looking at May.
Yeah. Okay, and what dates are you looking for in May?
I'm open in May for at least one case.
Well, you said you had 6 cases, so I'd
Yeah,
like
can
to
we-
try to
no.
get 2 in
Yeah.
that May.
Can we just pause a second? 2525 I'm just gonna plug it in, because if that might also be able to, I'm putting the 25 in, 319. Reread theirs again. Okay, so we've got 2, 3 done. So 2530 we can do anytime in May.
And 2530 is how many days?
This one.
Okay, but you said you had a 2-day, right?
That one.
I do have a 2-day. It's 2427.
Right.
So we're gonna schedule the 2-dayer?
Yeah,
Okay, let's do it.
um, so the 14th and 15th. Does that work?
Of May.
Works for me.
Okay.
What was the number on that one?
24, 27. So
You're thinking 2 days on that?
they're always good about overestimating, so they said 2 days to allow them the opportunity.
I'm sorry, what case number was that?
24, 27.
24, 27. I'm sorry, 24, 47.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
Sorry.
Oh, okay,
47.
you're right, and we're back at this again, okay.
24, 47. It's kind of, they have a grievance and they have an unfair labor practice.
Oh, this is the one that, we met on. This is the one where they all of a sudden tried to change the burden of who gets health insurance.
Yep.
And then we, didn't buy it.
Yep.
We didn't approve the university's
Yep.
motion
So
to
now it's going
dismiss.
forward.
So
Yep.
now it's going forward. So, this probably should be me and Roger. And, neutral. With Gwenna with Gwenna as a backup in case the neutral can't do the 2 days. Wouldn't that make sense?
I can pencil those days in on my calendar though.
Okay. Okay. Good on that one.
Bob, are we scheduling a board meeting in between?
Oh gee, you're right. We gotta have one in April, right?
Yeah.
But if we have one in January, would you do end of April or beginning of May?
We usually have them in April. We
Bring
could
that up.
cut it close and do it in May, but we usually try to do it at the end, in April. So, I mean, we could do it in May, like the first thing in May, first week of May.
Yeah, May 7th.
Yeah.
May 7th, okay.
For Bob, our January one is on Monday because of the legislature being in session. So I don't know if you wanted to do that here. I mean, they'll just put but May 7
Oh,
is,
good point. There may still be around.
they will.
Oh, we should do it on the Monday.
So May 4, how is the,
The first be with you.
yes, May the 4th
Yeah.
be with you?
Yes.
That's actually scheduled on a Monday.
Yes, we'll go with a Monday because the legislature's in session and parking will be at a premium other than on Mondays.
Oh, okay.
They don't work Mondays.
No, legislature is not in session on Monday. They're supposed to be doing constituent services that day.
Oh, I'm sure they're out there.
Oh, yes, we all know
over
they
the
are.
place.
So we have 2 more cases. to
Okay.
schedule.
So I was gonna pick out well, either May 21st or May 28th. 28th?
That goes into the Labor Day weekend where people
I'm
might be
hoping not
gone.
Labor Day.
No Memorial. It's the
Memorial Day.
Thursday after, yeah. Well, yeah. It doesn't matter to me.
It's the Thursday after. Yeah,
So when is Memorial Day? It's the,
25th.
yeah, some people take that week off. So
Is it 21st?
hold on, May 23rd. We have a
That comes
2-day
right after
hearing
the
week-
2-day hearing the
Yeah.
week before.
Yeah, I would just go with a
Okay, so
different
then
panel.
Do May 28th, that's fine.
May 21?
I thought you said,
And that one, I would do David. Can you
Did
do
you say the
21st?
28th or
21 or
the,
28?
Either.
Well, you told me we couldn't do the 28th.
No, I didn't say you couldn't do it. I'm just saying it's, some people take that week off, but I didn't say you couldn't do it. And then Gwyneth said it's right after that 2-day
yeah,
hearing.
Yeah, but
so-
it's a different panel.
Yeah.
Okay.
What, unless there's a amazing staff burden that we got to avoid.
So
So, David, are you available?
21?
21?
Yes.
Why not? Are you available the 21st?
am I doing the 14th and 15th
No,
before that?
no, we're hoping the other neutral's gonna do the 14th. We'll swap it if,
But, well, I can't do both.
I understand.
So I need to look at my schedule to the
Okay.
21st.
could you do the 28th?
How about the 28th?
The 14th and 15th I know will work.
No, I guess we can swap it and do the neutral. If you're into the 14th and 15th, we can do that one.
I think I can do those.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I'm taking out the neutral and putting Gwenna for sure on that one.
That's the 14th and 15th.
Yeah.
Correct.
And then on the 21st.
And then on the 21st, we'll put the neutral in. And Michelle, are you available on the 21st?
Yes.
Okay.
And then David?
Yep. Got it.
I suggest we not do one on the 28th, that we're doing it on the 21st because we have a board.
Right.
meeting.
Well, that's exactly right. I have already jumped to June because that's busting out all over.
There you go.
I went down a rabbit hole the other day. I was on, for some reason, I put on YouTube and then just started going down music and all kinds of show tunes, stuff like that. I found this British proms they do each year, and they have different artists come in and sing.
Yes.
And I just went down the old rabbit hole of great songs.
And then you look up and it's 3 hours later.
And all of a sudden, I said, well, wasn't there a baseball game I wanted to watch?
So we just have one more hearing to schedule and they're not available on June 11th. So just as we.
Okay,
June,
and is it one day, basically?
it's one day. So.
All right, so you got
4th, 18th, or 25th.
what dates, well, I'm not gonna be available the 18th. I've decided since my birthday's the next day. So David, you pick the date you wanna,
Either the 4th. Just as soon get it.
25th
I
or
just-
the 18th?
Actually, I just as soon get it done with the 4th.
Okay. Michelle, the 4th?
Yep, I'm available.
And that's before your kids are
Yeah,
out.
well, that's what I was gonna say. The 11th is always that, because depending
Yeah.
on snow days.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So David, Michelle,
And what number would that be?
2530.
what was the case on the 21st? May 21st?
2516.
And I was 2447. And the 23rd of April?
24:48, I believe.
Correct. And on the,
636,
um,
326, I
we
mean?
don't know, but on 319, it's 2525.
Yeah, I got that. Okay. All right, I got it. All right. So 6-4, Michelle and David, and then why don't you have a choice of
Be able to do June 4th.
did we plug in 25?
Yes, 319.
Got it. There you go. Okay.
All right, now. Should we set up a panel another panel in June for just in case?
Sure. Or do you want to, and then also pick the board meeting date?
And then the board meeting day for July?
Sure. That's way out there, but yeah.
So June 18th or 25th, I can do the 25th. And it'll be my turn, so. And we'll do the neutral. And Roger, are you available the June 25th?
Yes.
Okay,
That'd be a specific case or.
no,
We don't
that's,
have one yet. No.
that's in case.
Gotcha.
And of course, all of this is subject to if there's something comes up and Judith needs a panel, we'll figure that out as
Yeah,
we go along.
yeah.
Okay? And then I gotta find my calendar again.
You know, if there's prospective Alva, you won't know that till January.
We won't know, but it's usually in July.
That's why I was
Toward
just
the
looking
last 2
middle.
weeks.
Yeah.
So we probably want the board meeting either on the 9th or the 16th. What do you think?
So I thought Alva was, yeah, it's usually like that 18th, no, Judah?
Well, I was
Forget what it was
18 to 20.
this year.
End of July.
It was usually the
Yeah,
last week,
20, yeah.
last full weekend of July.
It was, I think you're right, though. It was going to be around the 17th. So, so it's maybe like the third weekend of July.
Okay, so that, yeah.
Weekend of July.
Okay, so let's do the 9th then for the board meeting, July 9th. Going once, going twice.
I understand there's nothing left of the FMCS.
Yeah. So, and the 4th of July is on Saturday.
Saturday.
So the holiday is on the 6th, right?
No, the holiday would fall
The
that
third.
Friday.
It would? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yes, the 9th.
So I think the 9th is probably the best selection there,
Excellent.
unless I hear an objection.
So Bob, we have a board meeting on the 9th of July, the 4th of May, and before that, the one just before that?
Was January,
Well,
well,
Okay.
no, January, don't we switch that? Is that the Monday?
I've got
Yes.
January 12th.
Okay, that's the Monday, all right. All right. Okay, any other business to bring up? Hearing none, I probably take an adjournment motion.
I move that we adjourn.
Second? Any seconds?
I second.
All right, all those in favor? All right.
Are we good?
Recording.